It's that moment again, the one you dream of every night. La seule chose qui te préoccupe, c'est la gloire. Le cheminement de la réussite, of pushing yourself further than ever before. But the true glory is in the shadows. Les sacrifices que tu fais, quand toutes les chances sont contre toi. When you can't push one more second, chase the glory. Visez haut.
U-Sports on CBC, presented by les championnats U-Sport à Radio-Canada, une présentation du gouvernement du Canada, the Government of Canada, Nike, Fox 40, Veraburn Medical Supplies, Les Bagues Baron Rings, APAR, and by BioSteel.
Women's Volleyball Championship on CBC. I'm Jared Brown alongside Adam DeYonk here as we get set to bring you this U-Sports quarterfinal matchup between the number 4 McMaster Marauders and number 5 Montreal Carabins. McMaster, first in the OUA, defeating Brock in the Quigley Cup 3-0, ranked number 9 nationally, taking on Montreal, number 1 in RSEQ, defeating Laval Rouge et Or to earn their second consecutive RSEC title and 7th in last 10 seasons, ranked 6th nationally. Adam, tell us who we're watching today.
Yeah, there's a really entertaining matchup between these two teams. 4-5 is always what you want to see. And on the McMaster side, they have Olivia Julien, second year outside out of Toronto, Ontario. She was a first-team OUA All-Star this season. Jared, very young athletic player who carries a lot of the volume offensively for her Marauders. In the final against Brock, she had 11 kills, just 1 hitting error, and added an ace to that point total. So she was very efficient in that final, and we expect her to get a lot of volume, as I said, here in this quarterfinal. On the Montreal side, it's Miriam Kaiser-Tourguigné, fourth-year middle from Gatineau, Quebec. She was on the first-team RSEC All-Star and was named as a second-team All-Canadian in the middle. She did lead the RSEC conference in hitting percentage at .331. Just a remarkable tally there. She also added almost half an ace per set and over half a block per set as well. She's going to be a physical threat at the net and a presence that is going to be felt both offensively and defensively for Montreal. McMaster's going to have to be aware of that and run their offense accordingly.
Looking forward to a fantastic match. Opening serve is coming up after the break, live from the IGAC at the University of Manitoba in Winnipeg. You're watching the 2025 U-Sports Volleyball Championships on CBC.
Tout est sur YouTube, donc ils ont pu aller chercher beaucoup de données d'informations importantes.
Donc on s'attend en quelques instants. Nos amis à la régie devraient nous envoyer un petit tableau pour vous présenter quelques statistiques et comparaisons entre les équipes là, du ce premier quart de finale.
tout cas, l'accueil ici est exceptionnel. Tout est beau, l'affichage, 3 tableaux centrales. Bref, ils ont vraiment mis le paquet. Surtout qu'ils voulaient se reprendre parce qu'on est déjà venus ici, toi et moi, pour un championnat masculin il y a quelques années pendant la pandémie. On était resté 11 heures ici, sans plus.
This is more than just a game. This is about who rules the court. The U Sports Basketball Championships, March 13th to 16th on CBC Gem.
Hey U Sports fans, check out shop.usports.ca for this week's promotional item from the Nike Team collection. Visitez le shop.usport.ca pour en profiter de la promotion de la semaine de la collection Nike Team.
Le sport en direct sur icitout.tv. 100% énergie. 100% gratuit. Votre meilleur plan de match pour voir des performances exceptionnelles sur l'appareil de votre choix. C'est icitout.tv.
Welcome back to Winnipeg and the 2025 U Sports Women's Volleyball Championship on CBC. It's time now to meet the starting lineups in today's game. Here's Stadium PA announcer Joey Slattery.
De Québec, M. Serge Thériault. 4 juges de ligne pour la rencontre et marqueurs maintenant.
Mesdames et messieurs, aux juges de ligne cet après-midi sont your line judges this afternoon are Crystal Smith, Edgar Miller, Mary Mansion, and Victor Rowan. Le premier arbitre d'aujourd'hui, today's first referee, is Sarah Maxwell Bunyan. Le deuxième arbitre cet après-midi, this afternoon's second referee, is Andrew Raw.
Get the they're done, we'll put the So our starting lineup for Montreal: number 4, Forancé Lapointe; number 7, Ilona Milan; Number 8, Florence Cloutier. Number 10, Sarah Maglashan. Number 12, Julia Latonier. Number 15, Miriam Kaiser-Tourigny. And number 19, Milicia Georgievich. Head coach in his 24th season, Olivier Trudel. Your starters for the McMaster Marauders. Number 6, Haley Brooks at libero on the outside. Number 16, Abby Delamar. On the outside, number 4, Olivia Julien. On the outside, number 1, Emma McKinnon. Libero number 7, Victoria Potvin. On the outside, number 5, Solly Sundera. The setter, number 18, Chase Victoria. And number 19 in the middle, Angelica Vidmar. Head coach in his 2nd season is Nathan Jansen. First official, Sarah Maxwell Bunyan. Second official, Andrew Robb. And your lines people, Crystal Smith, Edgar Villamar, Barry Mandrick, and Victor Lowen. We are ready to go for first serve at the 2025 U Sports Women's Volleyball National Championship at the University of Manitoba in Winnipeg. Adam, let's get this thing underway. First serve will be Montreal, number 12, Julia Letanier, to get the championship going. Passed up off the net. High ball attack kept alive by Montreal. Joust at the net, goes back to the McMaster side. And the roll shot dug up there, but not enough. And the first point of the 2025 National Championship goes to the McMaster Marauders.
Great rally, and we're seeing right out of the gate, Jared, why these teams have qualified for the final 8 in the nation. Such a variety of attacking coming off the hand of Sully Sundera already. We're just getting started.
Ball put in play by the Carabin. Soft blocked, back and down, side out. And it was number 19, Milicia Georgievich, who now will go back to serve. 1-1 early on.
Serving for Montreal, number 19, Lisa Georgievich.
Pass up there well, it's tight, put over on the setter's dump, kept alive by the libero. Quickly forced it in the middle. High ball outside opportunity here, and Sundera, big swing, but a great dig. But we're gonna have a net violation against Montreal. The blockers look a little confused on that one, Adam.
Yeah, they don't like that call, but it's fantastic defense consecutively for the Carabins. It's a great start, and Ilona Milan, she's been very active already defensively, using just about every inch that this enormous building here at Investors Group Athletic Center has on that dig. Unfortunately, it was negated by that net call.
Sully Sundera put some heat on that one. Just a free ball opportunity coming back to the Marauders side. Forced in the middle, tipped over, and we have another net violation. This time, there's no argument on that one. The net's still bouncing.
How much of that is nerves, Jared? Like, these athletes, obviously, you're excited. So much anticipation. They've been in Winnipeg for a number of days already, just waiting for this, and this is the first match of the day as well. Is that just maybe getting a little bit ahead of themselves?
Yeah, I think so. Probably just feeling things out here a little bit, right? Getting used to the surroundings and trying maybe a little bit too hard to make a play, but I'm sure the athletes will settle down as we go, as that is kept alive by Sundera in the back row. All the way outside to Julian, tipped over, and it's tipped wide. Linesman Barry Mandrick all over that one, and it's a side out for Montreal.
Montreal's looked very systematic on defense so far, Jared. Those tips are all covered up. We saw a dig earlier in this match already by Ilona Milan. There, it's down the line. Georgievich is all over that one, obviously in great position, knowing it's out. Just systematic defense so far from Montreal.
Nice run there by McMaster out of the middle, but it's kept alive by Cloutier. We have another opportunity here out of the back row. Montreal dug up by Sundera. Ball off the net, and they go back to her out of the back row, and that one finds the sideline. Another side out for McMaster.
Great start for Sundera, as she's been getting the lion's share of volume so far offensively, and that was actually the case for them in the OUA final against Brock as well. She led the Marauders in that match in kills and points, so she's sort of picking up right where she left things in Ontario, bringing it out to the prairies.
Vidmar's serve goes into the net. She'll get liberoed off. Adam, yesterday I had the opportunity to sit in on the coaches' meetings, kind of a bit of a media day before the teams practiced, and with McMaster, Sundera was one of the athletes who Coach Jansen brought along, and really an incredible story, first-generation Canadian, and saying how she really takes pride in being a role model for a lot of young athletes who see themselves in her, and she has a year of eligibility left, not completely sure if she's going to use it or not, but obviously not thinking about that right now as we see Julian get the kill, but really just trying to soak in the whole experience. We talked to Coach Jansen before the game about how they were the hosts last year, and this year they feel much differently, having earned their opportunity to be here.
That's such a mentality piece, Jared, and hopefully the Marauders, for their sake, can sort of rally off of that and know that they deserve to be here. They earned their way, and let's play that way.
Out of the back row, dug alive there by Sundera, off the net. And that's off the block and down, and it's an early advantage here for McMaster. They're up 6-3.
Crisp transition play from McMaster, Jared, is really what has stood out to me thus far. Digs are high into the middle of the court, just allowing the offense to run, flow sort of naturally. Their Achilles heel so far has really been the service, as that's already their second miss, and missed serves have accounted for half of the Carabins' points thus far.
Yeah, that was the setter, Chase Victoria, who put that ball into the net. They're doing a great job siding out, but like you said, haven't been able to keep the ball in play as much on the service line. But I think we talked about the blocking being on the net a little bit. I think serving is also one of those things that you're going to settle in as the championship goes on. This is a big environment, a big gym, a big facility, and especially for some of these athletes like Montreal, for example. You've been there yourself, I think, Adam, as an athlete. Very different than they'd have at home. For McMaster, it's somewhat similar, I would say. I think they probably feel a bit more comfortable in an atmosphere like this. So Montreal now back to serve. Ball kept alive, forced to the middle, and a great swing there, but a nice dig by Montreal. Back to the McMaster side, and they go back to the middle once again. Kept alive at the net, out of the back row, Cloutier, and that ball is going to be chased down by Julian. Let's see if Montreal can take advantage on a free ball opportunity here. And it's forced into the middle. Another great dig there by McMaster, our longest rally so far of the match. And it's Julian down the line who finishes it off. 7-5 now, McMaster.
Let you catch your breath after that one, Jared. Defense is 100% what was going on throughout that rally. Just, again, great systems, and McMaster has to go credit for them not fearing that high dig. Just allow the setter in Chase Victoria to get to that second contact and just nice and high to the pin. We see Julian more than capable of putting that ball away against the two-woman block there from Montreal.
Sundera tips it over. Kept alive, go to the back to the right, just powered, but dug up by the setter, Victoria. Ball's tight, Sundera off 1 foot, looks for a piece of the block, but doesn't find it. Side out, Montreal.
Seeing a bit of grit there from Sarah McLaughlin, kind of coming up the line, almost giving a wave as that ball goes outside the sideline. And that's a bit of that fire that I think is going to continue to grow. As we said, these teams are still settling in. The competitiveness was raved about from each of these coaches, that both teams love to compete and get after each other and the other opponent. And I'm excited as that's going to continue to happen as this match progresses.
The opposite, McKinnon, just misses wide down the line, and we are now tied up 7-7. Adam, we're obviously seeing these teams for the first time, being here, being from out of province ourselves, being from Winnipeg. But I have the unique perspective of actually seeing this Montreal team back in January. I was in Montreal watching the Montreal men play UNB, and the women played before, and I commented to you, I sent you a message, I said, Adam, I think we will be seeing this Montreal team in a couple months from now, and that's exactly what they did, winning their conference, to earn a right to be here now this weekend.
Olivier Trudel, the head coach, he kind of had a different perspective when we were talking to him pregame, didn't he, Jared? He was saying it was a grind to get here, and they feel very privileged to have the opportunity to be the one representative out of the RSEC conference, and it didn't come easy, even though you maybe had a beat on it a few months ago.
Yeah, I said the irony is, you know, we're seeing these players, you get to know them as they're playing right in front of our eyes, but both left sides named Florence makes it a little bit easier for us, but which one is it, I guess, is always the challenge. As this time it's Florence Cloutier with the huge swing, but kept alive on the Mac side, and then Sundara looking to finish it off, kept alive. Another great rally here between the two teams. They go back to Sundell, and that goes off of her head, but kept alive. This is going to be a 4 hits violation, and that's exactly what it's called, as we see head coach Olivier Trudel calling it out. We were all over that one in the booth as well, but a great rally between the two teams. Yeah, great rally. Unfortunate, it's tough to pick those balls up in the moment. Obviously, we're all watching from the perfect angle in the house, but as an athlete, you may not see that. You would like to see a bit more communication from McMaster and one of those first 2 individuals to contact and let them know it's got to go over. You're not fooling anyone. Adam, as we see that serve go into that, you're a former left side yourself here at the University of Manitoba, a great one, I may add. Whose responsibility is that? Is that something that you as a hitter need to communicate to everybody else, or do you even feel it sometimes when the ball comes so quickly back off the block? In my opinion, if you're one of the first 2 to contact that ball, you're not hiding anything. You're not going to trick the other team. This is the national championships. They're ready to go no matter the situation. It's your job to just communicate and let them know that's got to go over. Third contact, send it over. Djordjevic back to serve, puts in a bomb, but kept alive by Julian. Now off the block, dug up there on the Carabin side. Forced to the middle. I don't know if that one actually got over, but play is going to continue. Coach Jansen agreed with me. He thought there was a 4 hits violation. Back to the McCarabin side again, but it's Sundara who finishes it off with the block, and that gets the McMaster bench up and onto the court. I think we've all been waiting for a point like that, Jared. We're already 20 into this match, and that's a monster block from the 4th year outside. Fantastic execution, just a solid outside hand. Sundara back to serve and puts in a heater. It goes all the way back to the Marauders side. See if they can take advantage. Julian dug up, back to the McMaster once again. Forced to the middle, and that one goes off the shoulder of the libero, Ilonia, and that ball is back to the Marauders side. And Adam, I want to say to you, what do you think of the arm here on Sundara? Not the biggest player at 5'9", but clearly can come and swing from that baseline. And the angle, watch the trajectory on this ball, Jared. It's going to be traveling just in between the top 3 notches on the antenna. As a coach, you know better than anyone, that's the zone you want to be striking this ball. Not only does it have pace, the angle is aggressive, and we see there unable to respond with such a chopped angle on her serve. You know, the thing about that one is she's really went after it kind of in that 5-6 zone the first 3 times she served, but that time there took a little bit of pace off of it and cut it all the way back into 1, and we saw the libero, Milan, I think just caught her off guard a little bit on that one more than anything. But that one does go into the net, so we have a side out, and it's now a 1-point ball game with Cloutier, and she comes back with a service ace of her own, and we're tied up once again, 12-12. Yeah, Cloutier, 5th-year captain for this Montreal team. And Jared, you were there yesterday. It appears that she is just the belle of the ball for this Montreal team. She can do it all on court. She can do it off court. And we can see she's putting points on the board when her team needs it most, just as a captain should. Absolutely. There's multiple ways to lead, but I think for her, she likes to lead by example and also with a voice on the team, as we see a stuff block there. Number 15, Miriam Kaiser-Terigny, another athlete who I got the opportunity to meet yesterday, coming to play on that one. Yeah, it almost looked like, I'm not sure if she slid outside the block or was she swapped with the setter there, Jared. It almost looked like she was the one on the outside. It was just a great close nonetheless for her to get her hands in front of that ball. Yeah, I think what we're going to see here every once in a while is that when we have a front row setter from McMaster, I think Montreal is going to move their block around a little bit to try to manipulate to their advantage. That time there, they went more of a bit of traditional blocking lineup, but it worked out from as that attack goes long, and now they have their biggest lead of this first set, 14-12, and we are going to see a timeout from Coach Jansen.
The 2025 U Sports Men's Volleyball Championship, presented by Sunrise Credit Union, is headed to the campus of Brandon University March 21st through 23rd. Ticket packages for the tournament are almost sold out. The 2025 U Sports Men's Volleyball Championship, presented by Sunrise Credit Union in Brandon, Manitoba. Chase the glory.
Back to action. It's Cloutier who will put the serve in play. And a bit of a softer serve, but it gave the libero a little bit of trouble there. Out of the back row, a great dig to keep it alive, but it's going to go out of bounds. And now it's 15-12, Carabins.
One thing I've noticed so far, Jared, the back row offense for both sides has been utilized almost more than the front row. And I think that's a testament to these offenses really just going to their most efficient and most reliable options so far. And I mean, this is the final dance. This is the final 8 here. You have to go to those athletes that you trust the most, that you can continually rely to score points for you. And whether they're front or back row, a lot of volume for specific individuals on both sides.
Yeah, we saw that serve go long, and now McMaster is going to give one right back of their own.
That might be 4 or 5 per side so far here, Jared. Both these sides clearly trying to settle in and find their rhythm. And to me, it almost seems like a lot of these serves have been coming right at the whistle. And I think that's really the biggest tell, that these athletes are still trying to settle in and find their rhythm.
Kaiser Tourigny almost from the parking lot way back there. You don't see that so much anymore in volleyball. That's very deep float serve, but it's effective as that attack goes long. It's now a 4-point advantage, Montreal. She will once again serve. Reminds me of old U of M middle back in the day. Erin Neuenberg was known for almost being at the back wall back there. She's not quite there, but this is very deep for standing float serve. And when you don't see that type of serve coming at you very often, we see it kind of handcuffs Julian. It can be difficult for players to handle. Outside attack goes long from Lapointe. And McMaster, they needed that side out at him, and they need a couple in a row now when they're serving.
Definitely, and I think they are collectively breathing a sigh of relief off that attack error. Like, they were on the run for that free ball just to keep that rally alive, and that might be one of those balls that Montreal sort of looks back at and wants another shot, because that was a pretty pivotal time when their foot was on the gas.
Julian outside, looks to roll off the block, back to her side, kept alive. She'll once again swing, and this time goes off the top of the hands, dug up by Cloutier. And that ball set a little bit too low. It's a scramble play here. Lapointe looks to keep it alive. Tipped over, but again, we see this pursuit here, dogged pursuit on the defensive side from Montreal, which allows Cloutier to take a rip, but Sundera is there. Again, another great rally between these two teams. Let's see who can finish it off. Oh, and it handcuffs it. That almost looked out of the matrix at him, but it's not enough to keep it alive. Side out Montreal.
Georgijevic has been so solid out of the back row there, really hitting down the line, and it looks like the McMaster block is filtering that ball to their libero, Haley Brooks, down the line, but it's just such a heavy attack. Not a lot of true topspin on that ball either, Jared. Makes it very difficult to read and react.
Dug alive there by Montreal, back to Georgijevic. And that is another kill for her on the right.
Back down the line she goes.
Heating up. And another timeout here from Coach Jansen. It's Montreal leading in the opening set of the 2025 U Sports Women's Volleyball National Championship, 19-14. You know, Adam, I had the opportunity to sit in, as I mentioned yesterday, with the coaches and a couple select athletes from each team. And one thing that came up that I found to be very interesting is, you know, for some people they might not realize this, Winnipeg is one of the largest French communities outside of the province of Quebec. And I asked the athletes and the coaches, you know, they don't get a ton of time, obviously, outside of volleyball when they're here, but, you know, did they have the chance to go to maybe check out St. Boniface? And ironically, the banquet was at the Human Rights Museum, which is at the Forks here in Winnipeg, which is just adjacent to St. Boniface, and they were hoping maybe if they can have a good run here, it might drum up some support in the community. But we do see to our left here in the booth, there is a bit of a contingent of Montreal fans who have made the trip out, which is very exciting for them, I'm sure. Adam, you have some stats here from the first set so far?
Yeah, as we said, the right side for Montreal has just been so fantastic to start. 4 kills on 8 attempts, just 1 error. She leads the match collectively, 4 kills, and that's sort of her partner in crime there, Florence Cloutier. Surprisingly, her first kill actually, Jared, of the match right there. She's had now 9 attempts. A lot of trouble being placed and sort of pressure put on McMaster from her attack, but her first point on the board from the offensive side.
That ball tipped over. Another great dig there on the Montreal side, and that one, a rare miss hit we see from Georgievitic. And we're now going to have a substitution on the McMaster side. Checking in will be number 20, Madeline Lutz, the 4th year from Barrie, Ontario. And she's actually going to replace Emma McKinnon on the opposite.
Maybe a bit of height being brought onto the floor for blocking in this rotation, as they've got a little bit of a split offense.
Oh, and LaPointe, we're going to have a net violation on McMaster, but it wouldn't have mattered anyways as LaPointe puts that one down with authority, and she will now go back to serve with her team up by 6. This set has kind of got away from McMaster here a little bit, Adam.
Yeah, it's happened kind of slowly but surely, and all of a sudden, like you said, it's pretty commanding for Montreal.
Checking in to serve for Montreal will be Hemali Bork. She puts the tough jump float into play. Passed off the net by Sandera. High ball opportunity here. Dug alive by the libero, Milan. And now Cloutier over-approached that ball a little bit, but it's not going to matter anyways. And, you know, Adam, we talk about the nerves of the blocking. Lutz has subbed in here to block and now has had 2 straight net violations. Still, you know, for her, those were her first 2 points of the game. We understand, we talked about that earlier with everybody else in the beginning parts of the first set.
That's just that desire to produce. When you're given the opportunity, you want to go out there and you want to make do. Maybe just a little bit too assertive. And this has really been the story, and you just said it not long ago, Jared. This sneakily sort of got away from the McMaster Marauders in this set, and it's been self-inflicted, really. A lot of attack errors from them offensively. That is now already their 8th, attacking error. Compound that with 4 or 5 missed serves. They're making life pretty easy on Montreal.
You know, one thing that stuck out to me yesterday as we see side out from McMaster, you know, this first set is likely, it's going to take something pretty heroic for them to come back at this level, you know, 23-16. It's pretty tough. But, you know, Coach Jansen and his athletes talked about how in their quarterfinal in the OUA, they were really up against it in the 5th set against Waterloo. And they kind of had to really gut things out just to get through that match. And as most people are likely aware, Queens was the #1 seed, lost to the 8. And, you know, the whole OUA conference, and when that happens, things kind of get out of whack, but they're able to get it back together. So, you know, losing this first set here, I don't think it's going to derail them. They've been in obviously difficult situations before this. As we see now a set point opportunity after the kill from Georgievitic. She has been the story of this opening set for Montreal.
Certainly, and she's doing it in a variety of ways there, Jared. We just saw sort of that step approach, which is typically the model for a middle attacker. But she's on the opposite. She sort of just delays, kind of makes the block wonder, where is she going to be approaching? What lane is she getting in? And that step approach is just so quick and effective. That block of McMaster just nowhere close to established.
Charlotte Bilodeau has subbed in to serve with her team with the set point opportunity. That ball's tipped over. The setter, Maglanchan, is there with the dig. And then that attack goes into the net. So things are delayed here for at least 1 point for McMaster. And it will be number 20, Lutz, who will go back to serve. Adam, what's the biggest 24 down comeback that you can remember that you've seen as an athlete as it goes?
I think I've seen 17 happen before. You know, it didn't actually end up in a set win, but it pushed it to 24 all. And then you go ahead and lose the next 2 points. And it's all that effort, all that hope and belief just falls short.
Isn't it amazing that you, and I'm sure you've seen this, they're actually going to have a timeout here from Coach Riel saying, I think this is not necessarily about losing this set, right, but likely to keep his team in the moment to say, hey, we don't want to give McMaster any momentum heading into the rest of this match. So a smart timeout from Coach Trudell. But my point I was going to make to you is it's amazing how when teams are down and they come all the way back and they tie it, and then they just make 2 straight errors, and it's like, well, what was the point of that?
Exactly.
You know, why do we work so hard to get all the way back? But it's almost like you relax when the game gets tied again. McMaster will still need 5 more big points to get to that scenario, but good on them for stringing a couple together here in a row and at least making Montreal think about it and take a timeout.
You know, we've each seen a lot of volleyball in our days, a lot of high-level volleyball as well, and urgency, I think, is one of those things that matters so much and can really positively affect a team. And it's hard to sort of inorganically bring forward. Like in this situation here, McMaster, when you're trailing by 5, set point for the other team, that urgency is intuitive. You can see it, it's tangible. We've seen a bit of a dip here in execution from Montreal, a couple errors, a couple attack errors. That urgency is not an organic thing for them right now. They're sitting comfortably in the lead. So like you said, the timeout from Trudel just really settling them down and reminding them, we still got to go here.
Lutz serve, passed off the net by Cloutier. She'll get a chance to finish it off though, and she does find the end line, and with that, Montreal will take the opening set 25-19 and lead this U Sport Women's quarterfinal 1-0. You're watching the 2025 U Sport Women's Volleyball Championship on CBC.
This is more than just a game. This is about who rules the court. The U Sports Basketball Championships, March 13th to 16th on CBC Gem.
Hey U Sports fans, check out shop.usports.ca for this week's promotional item from the Nike Team Collection. Visitez le shop.usport.ca pour en profiter de la promotion de la semaine de la collection Nike Team.
Le sport en direct sur icitout.tv. 100% énergie. 100% gratuit. Votre meilleur plan de match pour voir des performances exceptionnelles sur l'appareil de votre choix. C'est icitout.tv.
CBC is Canada's home for university sports action. The nation's top university women's and men's basketball teams are in Vancouver this weekend for the 2025 Indochino U Sports Final 8, presented by Victory Creative Group. Catch the men's gold medal game Sunday at 4 p.m. on CBC TV and Sportsnet, followed by the women's game at 7 p.m. Eastern on Sportsnet. U Sports on CBC, where champions are made.
Adam, I tuned into that a little bit yesterday. Didn't watch too much, but it looked awesome in Vancouver. I believe the host UBC Thunderbirds lost on the men's side, which was probably a bit of a disappointment there for them. But congrats to UPEI on that victory. I know the women's UBC team did win, but we know from being here involved with this how important it is for that host team to come and play well. And where I'm going with this is McMaster last year was the host, UBC the host 2 years ago, and now Manitoba here as the host. The experiences that all these teams have, how they get here, how they earn their way, how many people are here cheering them on, do they have to worry about ticket requests, all these other different things that come with the championship. It makes things very interesting, and U of M will certainly be working their way through that later today, hopefully for the rest of the weekend as well. And Adam, we see some first set stats for us here.
Yeah, steady diet of 3 individuals on the Montreal team. It's actually remarkable how only 3 individuals picked up kills in that set, but yet they cruised to such a commanding first set victory. And I think a lot of that can be reliant on the mistakes from McMaster. They really made life simple. 9 attack errors and 5 service errors. So 14 of Montreal's 25 points in that first set were unforced errors from the Marauders. They're certainly going to be trying to come out in this second set and be a little tidier.
So we're well aware, Adam, that losing a set, especially the first set in a volleyball game, best of 5, is not going to define how the match is going to go. But I think the way that McMaster played is something they want to change. What would you like to see, or what do you think Coach Jansen would have been relaying to his team in between the first and second set?
They have to get more comfortable in these extended rallies, as we see another missed serve there from Montreal, and really trust in their ability to kind of extend those rallies and win. We saw early in that first set, McMaster was successful in the bulk of those long rallies, but then they started making more unforced errors, maybe getting ahead of themselves, attacking balls out, just more mistakes. And I think that they need to just trust their system, trust their ability, and do a little bit of more what we're seeing right now, which is just keeping that ball in play and taking your opportunities when they're given to them. And that right there is a huge swing by none other than Sully Sundara as she comes in flying for that front row kill.
I thought Sully started really well in the first set, and then not that she played poorly, but we kind of didn't hear much from her as the second set went on. But she had 17 attempts in the first set, which is a huge volume, but just wasn't able to quite be as effective as we start early on. She gets the dig on that one. That's McKinnon down the line. And another great shot there from her. She was subbed off at the end of the first set, but Coach Jansen goes back to her and is rewarded with a kill there.
Not a lot of volume her way in that first set either, but we saw Sundara in that rally was taken out by the tip, and maybe a bit of tactics there from the Montreal coaching staff as well. Like, you have to disrupt the other team's best players in any way that you can, and that's going to involve individuals like McKinnon who need to step up and produce.
Miriam Kaiser-Turigny with the kill. Side out Montreal.
Great step around there, Jared, right? She looks so versatile in the middle, right? We've seen her run that 51 lane right next to the setter. We've seen her flick around in that step lane. Just a lot of options and a lot of versatility from her.
Back to McKinnon on the right. Soft block back onto the McMaster side, but this time she goes right over top of the block, and that'll be a side out McMaster. Great response here, up 5-2 early on in set 2.
Both these teams were at last year's national championships, Jared, and I think that means a lot more than what you can just see on paper. And the familiarity with this sort of environment, the understanding of the pressure and the feelings that you're really going to get while you're on court, that's not new to any of these teams. This is exactly the situation they were in last year, and I think that is going to show as this match progresses. Just that comfortability is going to keep going.
I believe both teams did lose their quarterfinal matchup as well. So guaranteed today that won't be the case for one of these two teams. They will have an opportunity, whoever wins this match, obviously to play for a medal of some color on Sunday. But, you know, it's those wars going through these tournaments multiple times, coming here year after year, you know, for some of these programs who are so familiar with it, it does help, right? There's just some things you learn and you pick up along the way. And I'm sure both of these teams feel more equipped to be here this year than last year, as we see a great job, and then it's just put right back over. Pretty smart play there by the setter, Chase Victoria. She was just standing there in the net. She said, you know what, there's nobody here. I'm just going to put this thing right back down to the ground.
Why not me? I don't think anybody enjoyed that quite as much as head coach Nathan Jansen. He was turned around with a big smile on his face, fist pumping, seeing that sort of unorthodox point put on the board.
And now another service ace here for the Marauders. They're up 8-2, and I'm looking over to Coach Trudell, and we will see the timeout. 8-2 Marauders, set number 2. Great response so far.
We're seeing a little bit more life and a little bit more loose kind of play from the McMaster Marauders here. And, you know, Sully Sundara, one of the athletes you got the chance, as you've already mentioned, to sit down with yesterday at sort of the press day. She's one of these individuals that's been kind of denoted by Coach Jansen as just a great teammate and a huge part of this program. They just want to have fun and compete with fire. They want to be learners. They want to grow and innovate and do new things. That's a direct quote from Coach Nathan Jansen there. And that really speaks volumes to the culture that is this McMaster's Marauder team. And when you see a quote like that, it gives me, an outsider, a lot of belief in this roster that despite some struggles in that first set, they are not out of this by any stretch of the imagination. It's that approach, that kind of comfortable, I would say laid back to a certain degree mindset that's going to be incredibly important for them.
Yeah, and I think, you know, sometimes when you go through your season and you don't have much adversity, you win a lot of matches, it can be difficult for you when you lose a set. Hey, this doesn't happen to us very often. They've been through these wars, right? They they weren't the #1 seed going into the playoffs in the OUA. They've lost some matches. They've had some injuries. They've been having players different come through the lineup. And we said one thing that you noticed in between the first and second set, Adam, was that the coaches really seemed to have small pockets of players broken by position where they were really giving, obviously specific feedback, and not just the girls who were on the court, but, the 2 liberos who were on the court, also their sort of backups to those backups, and, really kind of breaking it down and making things maybe a little bit more direct to their position, and then they all came together with kind of more the team talk at the end. And I think I really liked what I saw from that with McMaster.
Clearly, it's worked for them here as they are off to a perfect start essentially here. Big lead. And Sundara, she's got the green light from the service line. Big serve, but managed well.
A bit of a scramble play here, and then it's Lapointe who is blocked by the setter, Victoria. And it's always incredible to me how, and I guess, we see this in other sports, but because the nature of the sport, it becomes more obvious here in volleyball. But, Montreal could really do no wrong in the second half of the first set. Now all of a sudden McMaster's come out and they're up by 7 points. How does that happen, Adam, so quickly like that?
It's just adjustments, and volleyball is constant reading and reacting to what the opposition is doing on their side. And I just think that Montreal, you cruise to that first set victory in a way. There's not a lot to talk about. Do what you're doing. McMaster, on the other hand, as you just mentioned in that timeout break, they broke off into groups. They're getting feedback from several different perspectives. What are you seeing? What can we change? And those necessary adjustments have clearly been making. It's now Montreal's turn to maybe try and figure out what needs to change. And right now what needs to change is they need Sundara to take a little bit of heat off this serve, because that is back-to-back aces off the platform of the Carabins serve receivers. Great production from Sully here on the service line.
And now we're going to see a substitution. Checking in will be Emily Bork, who came in to serve in the first set. She's going to take out Florence Cloutier. Now, Adam, just why, it was Lapointe who got ace on the one before. Why go to a different player in the back row to come into pass? What would be your thoughts on that?
Kind of 2 thoughts here, Jared. One, position 6 passer. Maybe you're just looking for someone who's going to get in there and take up more court than maybe the one who just got ace, who's front row passing out of position 5. Cloutier, on the other hand, she's the captain. She's going to come out. She's probably a little bit more familiar, able to maybe kind of understand the coach's perspective on that substitution. Maybe not going to ruffle feathers quite like a different substitute. Just the maturity of a 5th-year athlete, the experience. Those are sort of my thoughts immediately, just seeing what maybe went on there.
And I think it's very important for us to say, because there could be obviously McMaster fans watching this game, there could be Montreal fans watching this game, there could just be fans of volleyball watching this game. I think it's important to understand, nobody knows their team better than the coaches themselves, right? So that might be the substitution they go to all year long. Hey, when we give up 3-4 points in a row, Emily comes in for Florence. Obviously there's 2 Florence, but in this situation here, and for all she might not be as efficient of an attacker, right? We have Lapointe in the front row, so there's all kinds of different things you can do. But honestly, at this point, you're trying to just break up the momentum of this server, right? Sundara is back there, clearly in a zone, feeling her serve. And realistically, at 13-3, once again, we talk about 24-17. This is another situation of a score where the probability is you're likely losing this set. Let's just get Cloutier. She's had a lot of volume to this point. Let's just get her sitting down a little bit. And Bork has come in and passed 2 very good balls off of this. And now we see the swing there from Lapointe. So this is where now you can start to get things rolling back on your side a little bit.
Getting things rolling is certainly what Montreal needs to do here, Jared. 9-point deficit so far. It's going to be number 10 for the Carabins. Back to serve the setter.
McLaughlin puts the serve in play. It's taken there by McKinnon. Julian on the outside. She covers up her own attack. She's going to get a chance to swing again from the libero. And I thought she was going to cover up her own attack again, but this time they can't come up with it. So for Montreal, right, it's a long road back, but you can only get 1 point at a time, and they now have strung together 2 in a row.
This is also one of the tougher rotations for McMaster, as they have Victoria, the setter, in the front row. Just the 2 options. We'll see if the pressure can continue to be applied. Just making sure they're staying solid in this rotation. No mistakes from Montreal.
Sundara out of the back row. That one never gets over the net. And I'm going to ask you a question about this rotation here for Sully Sundara. we see her when she's in the front row, she passes, but now in the back row, Coach Jansen has her pulled out of the receive, and it's the opposite who McKinnon is in there. Why, Adam, would they want to do something like that? What would your thoughts be?
Just watching her movement right on the serve, they need her as an attack option, Jared. It's a necessity, especially in this rotation, as we just identified, as she picks up a huge dig there to keep this rally alive. Oh, and just a beautiful rally for McMaster to finish that off and stop that run by the Carabins, and it's the front row option in Olivia Julien finishing that off. But as I was saying, Jared, she just has to be an option. She has to be an attack option. If Montreal wants to serve her short or take her out, maybe sprawling for a serve in the seam, they need her available.
So for all the young athletes and maybe even young coaches who are out there watching this right now, right? Don't put your players in a box, okay? Just because you play opposite doesn't mean you can't pass. And just because that you're a left side hitter doesn't mean that you do have to pass, right? We can use all of our players in different ways, and that's not saying Sundara's not a good passer. It's like you hinted to there, right? We want to get her the ball out of the back row. How do we do that? Well, we make sure she doesn't have to worry about passing first. And the more things you can do as a player, the more versatile you are, the more options that you have with your team. And we see a nice job there from Montreal to go get a side out, and they're now exchanging points, but down 8, they're going to have to find a couple here from the service line. So it will be number 4, Francais Lapointe. Passed up there by Julien. Victoria goes back to her on the left. Roll shot, takes the setter, Baglashian, out of the play. It's going to be a free ball coming here to the Marauders. Let's see if they can take advantage. And it's Sundara on that back row ball we talked about, overlaid with the step around. And, you know, we call that an overload, Adam, but in that one there, it seemed to kind of work against McMaster as the block from Montreal was working in that direction.
Yeah, the setter, it's your job to find gaps in the block. So sometimes that overload will hold the blocker and open it up. Other times, it's just to congest that area. And unfortunately for the Marauders, it went against them, as you said there, Jared.
Julien, tight set, tips it over. McLaughlin there with the dig. It's going to be a joust situation here at the net, and it's 16 and 18. The setter, Victoria, who puts it down. One name we haven't said a lot of so far is Abby Delamar. Delamar was one of the athletes that I met with yesterday, and somebody that Coach Jansen just absolutely raved about. Said she's an incredible connector of people off the court. She builds trust with humans really quickly, and in the 30 minutes I spent with her yesterday, I could see how and why he would say that. And you know, she's specializing in honors biochemistry, Adam. I don't know exactly what that means, but I know I likely would have failed that course.
That's, I agree with you there, Jared. Definitely not a strong suit of mine, and can't imagine what that course load is, but here she is doing her job here on the court as well as in the classroom, I'm sure.
The future biochemist, unable to come up with the kill there, but I know this, Adam. I know biology is hard, I know chemistry is hard. The two of them together must be really hard. So good for her. I mean, that's an incredible, and that's sometimes something we forget about here, right? That when athletes, you know, we're watching them play, is these aren't professional athletes, right? They are students truly first. This is not a situation where, you know, we're just moving them through the system and they continue to play. If they don't have the grades to play, they're not able to play. And then when you see somebody who not only is, you know, an adequate student, but excelling in the classroom on top of what they're doing as athletes, it really is quite impressive.
It is, yeah. There's no doubt that the commitment, the hours they're putting in on both facets of their student-athlete experience is just remarkable.
Delamar with the power tip, dug up by the setter McLaughlin. And it's Bork, who has actually stayed in the game here for the Carabins. That's her first opportunity to swing. McKinnon thought she caught the sideline, but just missed wide. And Montreal continues to just kind of chip away here a little bit. Is this a similar situation we saw at the first set, where we knew most likely Montreal was going to win, but McMaster stole some momentum? Is that what Montreal might be doing right now?
Yeah, I think so, and it's one of those things, again, we talked about the urgency, and you could see it in the way the Carabins are playing defense. Unfortunately, the middle unable to pick up that dig in the back row. That was Lafreniere. But the urgency has just kind of fizzled for McMaster midway through this second set, and you can see that's the opposite effect on the Montreal side of the floor. They're definitely digging in, being a little bit more aggressive and determined defensively especially.
So Madeline Lutz has subbed back in again for McMaster. We saw this same sub in the first set, maybe looking to bring potentially a bit of a bigger block. And speaking of blocks, it's the biochemist, the honor student, number 16, Abby Delamar, who gets the stuff block. Point McMaster.
That's just all assignment there from Delamar, Jared, as pass was not necessarily the best, not tight to the net, but she is staying with the second team All-Canadian there in Miriam Kaiser-Tourigny and making sure she's in front of one of the primary attacking options for Montreal. Just great defensive reading for the middle blocker of McMaster, and she's followed up with some support from her teammate there, Julia, picking up the ace on the end line there.
You know, I want to make just a point here about Delamar as well that I think really is impressive for someone who you went to the opposite way in your career. You went from the middle to the outside, which I think is possibly a somewhat easier transition for athletes. She has been an outside hitter, still in our program, listed as an outside hitter, now moving to the middle this year. Those are two very different positions, so good on her for being able to make that transition as a third-year athlete. That's a lot of volleyball behind her. Where she's already been successful to make that change. As we see the nice swing there, number 20, Lutz, who just got subbed in. So we saw her, we talk about her blocking, now getting an opportunity to come in there and show us what she can do offensively.
Now, it's a great substitution for Jansen. He's clearly going to lean on that more and more. We've seen it in both sets thus far in his opportunity, and I see why he's doing that.
21-12, my personal favorite score in all of volleyball for those Rush fans out there, one of their more famous albums. That probably went over the heads of 98% of people watching this today. But for those of you who got it, they got it. And speaking of getting it, Madeline Lutz, back-to-back points, the big stuff block there, and it's now a 10-point lead, 22-12. I think before the day started, Adam, people would have guessed that this would likely be the closest match, and which makes sense. It's the 4-5, right? That's kind of the one you usually circle as typically will be the closest. As we see a nice step around there from Kaiser-Tourigny, but as we know, sometimes the seedings, not that they're not accurate, but things can happen in their conference playoffs, which leads to different types of matchups. But this one here, really, I think most people kind of say that will probably be the most tightly contested game on paper heading into today. And so far, we're seeing why people kind of think that, as each team has kind of taken one set looking really good and one set maybe not quite as much, right? And that one just clips the sideline. It's another kill there for Madeline Lutz. And what a nice weapon off the bench that Coach Jansen has here, being successful. She will now go back to serve. Tough float serve, goes back over to the McMaster side. The ball's tight, and a great job there by Sully Sundera. And we now have a set point opportunity from McMaster as they try to even this thing up at one set apiece.
Just such volleyball IQ shining through there for Sundera. That's a tight ball, not a lot of real estate to work with. Just wipe that ball off the hands of the Montreal block.
That ball's tipped over, kept alive. Back outside to Sundera. Dug up there by Cloutier, and she will now swing herself. Julian with the dig. Forced to the middle, and that'll finish it off. The kill for the Marauders. Number 19, Angelica Vidmar. McMaster takes set number 2, 25-13, and we're now tied up at one set apiece. You are watching the 2025 U Sports Women's Volleyball Championship on CBC.
Bisons are on the move, always on the go, charging ahead, making a difference in Manitoba and around the world, in transportation, in Canadian football, and in journalism. Where can you find Bisons? Right here, at the center of it all.
Early mornings, late nights, every rep, every sacrifice leading to this. Fueled by BioSteel, the best get the chance to make their mark. One weekend, one shot at glory.
Feel every hit, point, and celebration as if you're standing right on the sideline. Our passionate team unlocks a world of possibilities with digital broadcasting made simple, bringing heart-pounding action directly to millions of fans. Proudly Canadian, ISI Live, be there.
Le sport en direct sur icitout.tv. 100% énergie. 100% gratuit. Votre meilleur plan de match pour voir des performances exceptionnelles sur l'appareil de votre choix. C'est icitout.tv.
CBC Sports is the home of university sports in Canada. Catch the best U Sports men's hockey teams as they face off in the 2025 BioSteel University Cup live from the nation's capital in Ottawa. The action begins Thursday, March 20th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on CBC Gem, cbcsports.ca, and CBC Sports YouTube. U Sports on CBC, where champions are made.
You know, Adam, I know you'd like as well to spend the odd time on the golf course. Nothing beats just throwing a little pack of BioSteel in the golf bag. You just mix it up with the water bottle, you know, and you're feeling a little bit low on energy at the turn, you know, and you're shooting 75 on the front. You got to rally and get back to, you know, get back on the back nine. Nothing like a little BioSteel in my water bottle. That helps a long way.
Got to stay fueled, and these two teams here in front of us have at least 2 sets to go, Jared. 1 set apiece for each of these teams, and we got a lot of volleyball left to play here. That's quite an entertaining and quite a sort of seesaw first and second set.
Well, I think what we would like to see, as you know, we both have been involved with the sport, like I said, as coaches, yourself as an athlete here at U of M. We've seen, okay, each team has now played well. Each team has struggled a little bit. Let's see each team's best in this third set moving forward and see what that looks like. They're both clearly capable of it, but it seems like whatever team can kind of get out to a bit of an early lead can really get things going on their side. And then a running attempt there of a dig by the libero number 6, and that is Haley Brooks. Kind of just caught out of position after that ball was put back to her side. So the first point, and she's having a good chuckle about it, but first point does go to Montreal. And it will be the captain, Cloutier, who spent a good portion of that second set on the bench, but she's coming back out here now and makes a great attempt at a diving save, but can't quite come up with it. So side out to McMaster. And, you know, just as volleyball people, right, we want to see, let's see a 25-23, a 26-24, both teams really competitive third set here.
Yeah, we want to see the energy high, the execution high, and I think we're just starting to get a taste of that consistency from both of these sides, as this has already been a crisper start, even though we're just 2 points into the third set.
Cloutier out of the back row with the kill. And Adam, we're going to take a look at those live stats here after the second set. What is jumping out of here between these two teams?
I mean, take a look at the McMaster offense here, Jared. There are, I think, 9 athletes with 2 or more kills on their roster. Contrast that to Montreal. There are only 4 athletes with any kills. So the balance is just so different on each side, and each offense is operating differently. It's very interesting to me and quite the talking point that we'll keep diving into as these teams just continue to find what works for them. And Montreal, very concentrated volume to their specific attackers. McMaster, they're not afraid to give anyone a chance to put that ball away.
You know, interesting that we haven't made mention of to this point here is that Montreal uses the more sort of traditional one libero system, but we see McMaster using both. I know you weren't a libero yourself, but what challenges do you think that presents for the coach, but for the 2 actual liberos as well?
As like flow is everything, Jared. You need to get into a rhythm as an athlete. You need to feel the pace of the play, the anticipation, and all the things that come with reading and reacting as a back row player. As that ball just sort of fell out of the atmosphere from the serve. No reaction there from the Montreal serve receivers. That thing just died. Great service ace for McMaster.
Did that fall from the rafters, or the ball just seemed to completely bottom out? Like you said, it caught Montreal off guard. A great serve there. And another one, and this one taken by Montreal, but it goes out of bounds. Back-to-back service aces for the Marauders. I mean, we've watched 2 sets now. Victoria's gone back to serve multiple times, but this is the best flow serve she's had is those last 2 for sure to this point. And it goes back to McKinnon, and it's kept alive there by Milan. Out of the back row, Carabin, and a good job there by Brooks to get out of the way. And, you know, as we talked about the two liberos, it seems that Coach Jansen now has sort of started leaning predominantly to just Brooks staying in there, and I wonder if that's something that, you know, she's maybe playing really well. The other libero, which was Victoria Potvin, maybe, you know, not happy with something he's seeing from her, but it's interesting how it gives you that flexibility to do that as this ball is coming. Oh, and I had it. That was my chance at glory, and I dropped it. I'll never recover. Guys, no, I protected our table, but Butterfingers on the catch.
You know, the job was done,
chance,
Jared. Do not cut yourself short. Equipment is safe. The hands will come. You know, it's our first game of the weekend, too.
That's right. Oh, man. Okay, ball back into live action here. A great diving save by the libero Milan back to the McMaster side. And it's in the middle, Delamar, high swing, but just wide and out of bounds. Montreal needed that side out.
They did, and again, side out used pretty loosely there, Jared. They're, again, sort of relying on the sloppy play of McMaster, and at some point, Montreal is going to have to step up to the plate and put a few more points on the board themselves. I mean, through 2 sets, they only had 16 kills as a team. There just needs to be more production than that.
McKinnon blocked there by the middle, number 12, Julia Latenier. And when we looked at the stats, we saw she doesn't have a kill yet, but that's how you contribute. Again, we talked about young volleyball players. If you're watching, if you're not getting set, well, there's a lot of other skills you can contribute with, right? And clearly their offensive game plan does not run through her in the middle. She's out there to make her serves, to block, you know, to be a presence, and that's what she did on that play here, as it's going to be a free ball opportunity coming here to Montreal. And they go to her in the middle. We talk about it. They give her a look on that one there, but they go back to her again. Kept alive. Great set all the way back to Julian, but she tips it wide and out of bounds. And we're now tied up 6-6. We see Coach Trudell, a bit of a laugh after that sequence.
Yeah, I think it gets lost a lot of times, Jared, that the middle, the position for middle is actually middle blocker. That is their role, primarily. Everybody loves to attack offensively. That's such an entertaining, fun part of the game. But middle blocker is their role, and we're seeing exactly why Latenier is out there for the Carabins. She's done a fantastic job lead blocking, and it's a block now for the Marauders side with a big tandem block there.
Julian shuts the door on Francais Lapointe, but in fairness to Lapointe, there really was nowhere to go. That ball was set pretty tight. We used to call that a jail set back in the day. You're all locked up. Get the bread and water. You got nowhere to go. But then it's Julian who goes right back into the net. So we talk about, let's see a more competitive set here. Both teams playing their best. We have a 7-7 set so far, so it's close. I think, you know, by this point last set, we were 13-2 or something already, right? So it's nice and tight here, and obviously this can be a very pivotal set, right? You're tied 1-1. It's become now just a best of 3. You want to get your nose out in front, take the lead. As that ball is dug very tight, but a great job in McGlunch. She actually fell over after keeping it alive. And then it's going to be a net violation against Montreal. Coach Trudell thought maybe it was the ball, but it's almost always going to be lost when those ones are bouncing around like that.
Yeah, there's no doubt that there was a Carabin on the net. Tough to see exactly who it was, but nonetheless, point's going to stay with McMaster, certainly in that execution or lack thereof there at the net.
I think you can probably appreciate this when you know, you have a situation like that where it could have been either blocker, and sometimes the coach says to the ref, you know, well, who was it? What number? And it's like, does it matter? You know, there clearly was somebody. I honestly don't know who it was, but there was one, if not 2 hands on the net on that one. But a good job there by Georgievic, who gets the kill. And we're tied up once again, 8-8.
I would love to see McLaughlin go through and play that offense through her opposite a little bit more, as she has certainly been the most reliable. I mean, she leads her Carabin team with 8 kills, and just maybe give her a bit more volume. Also a good hitting percentage to boot with it.
Good dig there by the Montreal middle. We don't see too many of those. They don't obviously get as many opportunities as they get liberoed out in the back row, but nothing gets the team more fired up when that middle stands back there in 5 and gets that dig and gives you a chance to score a point with them serving. And now to be the opposite McKinnon, who goes back to serve. And we've settled into a nice little groove here, I think, Adam. I think both teams have kind of got the nerves out a little bit and figuring some things out, and I expect this to be really competitive for at least 2 more sets, if not 3, as we're tied 1 set apiece. Ball out of the middle. That could have been a carry ball call. The Montreal side definitely wanted it, but play continues. Back to the opposite, and that goes out of bounds off the block. A good job there by the opposite, Georgia Vitic. We said her name a lot in the first set, not as much in the second, but seems like she's got back into a nice rhythm here in the third.
Yeah, she has. She's definitely not a flashy player, Jared. You're not going to see her flying through the air with some sort of acrobatic play at the net, but she's consistent and she's physical, as we see on perfect display there. Even from the service line, she can put some serious pace behind the ball, and she really has been the biggest problem and thorn in the Marauders' side from both the attacking standpoint and the service line, as she picks up her first ace of the match there. Followed up, unfortunately, there with an error, but you know, that ace to miss ratio, coaches will take that all day.
So how did we get that big lead in the second set? Well, we got it with Sully Sandera on the service line. Now she goes back there for the first time in this third set. Let's see if she can rattle off a couple here once again for the Marauders. Nice serve down the line, kept alive. It's going to be out of the back row, Georgia Vitic. And it's Julian on the left. Nice dig there by the libero, Milan. McLaughlin on the run, goes back, maybe not quite as high as she would have liked, which gives McMaster an opportunity out of the middle. And it's Angelica Vidmar. We haven't seen her name a ton, but she comes up with a nice swing there and puts her team back up on top by 1.
Transition middle has been the theme for the McMaster Marauders in this third set, Jared. I don't know if you've noticed that, but that's their third kill on just 11 points of theirs that have come from running the middle during an extended rally. And that's a really important piece of the offense, but you can also score points on defense, as we see there. The setter, Sarah McLaughlin, flying across the court there to be a net presence, picking up that stuff block for her Carabin and shutting down the run by Sandera, arguably the most important part of that play.
Yeah, that's a big swing of points, as they likely, you know, when the ball's passed back over to the opponent's side, typically that's a point you're going to lose more often than not, but the setter comes up with the big play, McLaughlin. Cloutier just misses wide. You know, one thing I wanted to say, though, is we have our live stats in front of us here. Angelica Vidmar, I said haven't said her name too much. She's actually very quietly putting together a pretty solid match. 5 kills, 1 error, and 13 attempts. As that serve goes long from her. Maybe that's, I didn't say anything about her serve. I'm not going to take any blame for that, but we were giving her some credit for her attacking. So it's tied once again, 12-12. And I think if I might be wrong on this, Adam, but let's try to think back to the first set. I think we were tied 12-12 on the first set as well until Montreal started to really pull away. So let's see what happens here in this third, as it's Julian with the roll shot. Looks to me like she spent some time on the beach with that shot there. McKinnon digging out a 6, so they can go back to Sandera on the C-ball, which is exactly what they do. But it takes McLaughlin out of the play. Cloutier, high ball, bumps it outside to LaPointe. And LaPointe finishes it off with the kill off the block. 13-12, Carabin.
That transition right there is what makes good teams great, Jared. When you can take the setter out, have a quality high ball set that's maybe not perfect, but still have production from an outside, like we saw from Florence Lapointe, putting that point on the board in a broken play situation. That is what is going to propel you over other good teams.
McLaughlin tried to dump that ball over, but Julian was there waiting for it. Free ball opportunity coming here, and it's just set over the net by Victoria. And we haven't seen a ton of offense from her, but she's scored a couple times now with just nice, smart plays that have caught Montreal off guard.
And, you know, probably a volleyball IQ piece coming in there for the setter, Victoria, as she notices perhaps that the libero for Montreal not on the floor due to the middle serving. Maybe catching that in transition and knowing she's not going to have the athletic back row specialist there to pick up that ball.
You know, Adam, as we look at Julian there, she got the kill. She's had a high volume here, obviously her and Sandera leading her team, but she really knows, I think she does a great job of identifying when are my green light opportunities to swing and when are they not, right? As we see a service ace there for the Marauders as it goes off the arms of Cloutier. And this was the same server, the setter, Victoria, who rattled off a couple aces. That's now 3 in this set as we see Coach Trudel call timeout, not wanting to get back into that same situation they were in before. It's a 2-point advantage for the Marauders, 15-13 here in set number 3. And Adam, you got some info for us here on these two teams?
Yeah, just taking a look at some of these fantastic preparation that we're provided here to give you all the insight we can and highlight really the talent that are these student athletes in this top 8. Now McMaster specifically, they were last year's national hosts. They're fresh, obviously, off of the OUA championship win over Brock. They had conference all-stars in Olivia Julien. We were just speaking about her, and Emma McKinnon, one that we haven't maybe promoted all that much here in this match, but those were 2 OUA all-stars, led the charges in the points scored, and that really gives you that sort of 3-headed monster that McMaster has on the outside on their side with Julien, Sundara, and McKinnon, all capable of putting points on the board in a variety of ways.
So to be the setter Victoria, who will still be on the service line, and I think again I love, Adam, when we have the opportunity to do these types of games. We did the men's in 2022 here at U of M together as well, and let's be honest, we don't have a ton of opportunities for volleyball to be on TV, to be watched by young athletes, right? So when they're watching this at home, you don't have to necessarily have the hardest spin serve in the gym to be a good server. And we're seeing that from the setter Victoria here, who continually not only getting aces, but just putting Montreal in trouble by almost having negative pace on the ball. Like, she is hitting as true of a float serve as you possibly could have, and it's really almost just handcuffing these Montreal receivers, and it's now led to a 3-point advantage. That one there had a little bit more pace on it. That one was moving.
But more struggle there for
absolutely.
Montreal.
Now, a great job there by Cloutier out of the back row, and that attack out of the middle goes just long. And it's now 17-13, and we're going to see a substitution here on the Montreal side. Naomi Babi will come in, so we have a new setter. It'll be Sarah McGlashan who will take a seat. This is the first time we've seen Naomi Babi come in. Let's see if she can change things up a little bit here. It goes right to the middle, and I love that as a setter. As soon as you come onto the floor, establish that connection with your middle. And again, it's kind of funny, right? Our team can't pass, but we don't take out our passers, we take out our setter. It's sometimes just to change the look a little bit for your team.
Absolutely, and again, this is probably the 1-2 punch here at the setting position for Montreal. Both clearly capable, experienced athletes here who are able to just kind of interchange, and middle is maybe the more complex of the runs that you can put together as a setter. So coming in, ice cold, running that middle to perfection. That's impressive for number 14 coming on the floor, Naomi Babi.
And I really like that Coach Trudell has sat McGlashan down right beside him, okay? And as soon as he took her off, been patting her on the back, kind of arm around her chair a little bit, just chatting with her a little bit, talking about a few things, giving some feedback, knowing that, saying, hey, you're going to be back out here at some point in this match, right? Take a little breather. And because sometimes, even though we're at the university level, it's important just to remind our athletes, hey, look, you're running around like crazy to try to keep us in this match. It's our receivers that need to play better. So I'm just kind of giving you a little bit of a breather here. And who knows, maybe we work our way back into this set and you come back here in the front row. But keeping things in perspective, even though these athletes have played for a long time, still really important. And now we're going to have a second timeout by Coach Trudell, 19-14, and this mirrors the first set. I said we were tied 12-12, very close, but this time now in the third, it's McMaster who's pulled away, and it's Montreal who's now struggling a little bit.
Yeah, Montreal had a bit of what they described themselves internally as a youthful turnaround in this season, but clearly didn't slow them down at all as they picked up their 7th RSEC title in 10 seasons. That's just dominance there, Jared. Just clearly a perennial threat in that conference to be the representative here at the national championships, making it just so impressive of a run for the Carabins out of the RSEC conference. Now, they were 19-2 in conference play. So I know we spoke with Coach Olivier Trudell telling us it was a grind to get here. No doubt. A lot of 5-set matches in that conference season for them. A little bit of adversity through the playoffs as well. Not sweeping their final conference matchup. They had to take it to the third and deciding game. But they are here nonetheless. And a 19-2 record does show that there was some dominance going on for them. And it's just really impressive to see them here once again at the U Sports National Championships.
Volleyball fans, U Sports wants to hear from you about your viewing experience. Make sure to visit usports.ca or to join our fan advisory panel. So make sure to check that out. You can win some prizes as well. Join the U Sports fan panel at usportsfans.ca. That timeout unfortunately did not work for Montreal, as it's another service ace, this time from Julien. We're going to see the setter, McLaughlin, checking back in, and Babi will take a seat. And, you know, as setters, there's so much of a community between the two of them, right? They really are supporting each other all the way through, obviously competing for that one spot on the floor. It's the only spot where there can be only one of them, right? Even now as liberos, we see how some teams can have two dress and can switch in and out. But as a setter, you know, if you're doing your job, technically your teammate never gets to play, but they still support each other so much. But we're going to see another substitution here for Montreal. Checking in will be number 11, Charlotte Galland. So Coach Julien kind of going through his bench here, and again, clearly realizing this set might be over, and how do we get things going back for the fourth?
Yeah, I like it. Let the mental side of the game just take a breather for these starting Montreal athletes. Take a step back, get ready for number 4.
And a nice job there by Lapointe. And Adam, I noticed when we were going through here a little bit that Lapointe led the team in kills. So I think if through the whole season, she had, I think, 238 kills as only a first-year player as well. If they are going to come back and win this match, which looks like now would have to be in a 5th set, but there's still opportunity here in the 3rd. But if they are going to come back in any capacity, you got to think that she's going to be the one that will probably have to be leading them through. As, again, that sort of step-around approach doesn't work out for Montreal on that one, as it's the Marauders who get the stuff blocked. And now we're going to see a substitution checking in, number 22, Jennifer Wu, one of the many liberos on the roster, but obviously being able to come in and put in a solid serve as well. Oh, and Wu with the lefty, didn't expect that one coming off the bench. And that attack out of the middle goes into the net. That was Galland's first opportunity. 23-15 now for the Marauders. Isn't it always so unfair, Adam, when you've probably encountered this yourself, where you have this great libero that just has an awesome arm? You know, like clearly, like, ooh, that's a nice arm out there. You know, she has a live arm from the service line, but it also does give her some flexibility when she's not playing libero to come in and still provide a role. As that attack goes off the block and into the aerial, down a second official, Andrew Robb, all over that one. But, you know, great job by Wu coming in there and putting a solid serve off the bench. From Burlington, which is not obviously too far from Hamilton. Cool thing here, we look at their rosters. Every single athlete on this McMaster team from the province of Ontario. Quite a few different cities, though, being represented. As that attack tipped over, and talk about knowing the middle is in position 5. That's knowing your defense in that one there, as Lutz gets the kill, and it's now a set point opportunity, 24-16.
Looks like Lutz is almost like this pinch hitter for the Marauders, if we're talking maybe baseball term there. Just comes in late in the set, gets quite a bit of volume when she's out there, and now she's picking up a huge dig in the back row as well, really doing it all in this sort of reserve role.
Unable to come up with the dig on that one, but that pipe attack from the point, that was one of her most aggressive swings we've seen this whole match, but it really was a great dig by Lutz, and now we see McKinnon come back in. But I like that. I like the pinch hitter. You know, she's almost not really, she's kind of a closer. You know, you kind of keep talking baseball. She's not going to start the game for you, but comes in and provides great volume for you. As we have another set point opportunity here. McLaughlin with the dig. Milan steps in, goes pipe to Lapointe, kept alive by Julien. Outside quickly to Sundara, and Sundara, whose name we didn't seem to say as much offensively in the 3rd, but she gets the winning kill there. McMaster takes that 3rd set, 25-17, and now lead 2-1, and are looking to potentially close this quarterfinal out in the 4th, but Montreal will have something to say about that. Reminder, you're watching the 2025 U Sports Women's Volleyball Championship on CBC.
This is a call to empower, to unite, and to celebrate the bold in all their glory. It's time to own the ice. Are you ready?
Delaney, territoire du Nord-Ouest. Le berceau du hockey. On y trouve une communauté riche en histoire et en tradition que Quaker voulait surprendre avec une toute nouvelle cantine déjeuner Quaker dans son aréna. En plus d'offrir notre avoine canadienne à grains entiers, la cantine est maintenant l'endroit pour se rassembler, manger et célébrer. Nous sommes fiers d'alimenter la passion du hockey dans son village d'origine, parce que peu importe d'où tu viens, t'es capable.
Le sport en direct sur icitout.tv. 100% énergie. 100% gratuit. Votre meilleur plan de match pour voir des performances exceptionnelles sur l'appareil de votre choix. C'est icitout.tv.
Feel every hit, point, and celebration as if you're standing right on the sideline. Our passionate team unlocks a world of possibilities with digital broadcasting made simple, bringing heart-pounding action directly to millions of fans. Proudly Canadian, ISI Live, be there.
Hey U Sports fans, check out shop.usports.ca for this week's promotional item from the Nike Team Collection. Visitez le shop.usport.ca pour en profiter de la promotion de la semaine de la collection Nike Team.
CBC Sports is the home of university sports in Canada. Catch the gold medal game of the 2025 U Sports Women's Volleyball Championship Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern right here on CBC Sports. All of the action for U Sports Women's Volleyball Gold is exclusively on CBC Gem, CBCSports.ca, and the CBC Sports app. U Sports on CBC. Chase the glory.
And Adam, to build on that, I will say if you are in the Winnipeg or greater surrounding area, get down here and watch in person. Absolutely, there's still tickets available. But if you're not able to join us in person, then we are happy to be with you all weekend long. We have two crews. We have a Francophone crew here as well. And we're excited about it, right? We're excited about great action all weekend long. This match here has been back and forth so far. It's McMaster who leads 2-1. They will start off set number 4 with the serve, and that attack goes just long from Montreal, and we see definitely a drop in energy from this Montreal team, and understandable. It's hard to be excited. No one is usually in a good mood when they're losing, but if they aren't able to get back in this match immediately, their season as far as winning the championship will be over. So they're going to have to figure some things out here in this fourth set. But that won't help as it's McKinnon who gets the kill at the net.
Jared, the body language is off for Montreal. It's undeniable. I think we can all see it collectively. You know, 2-0. There's nothing wrong with that. There's so much volleyball left to play in this set, but maybe we'll call it maybe 2 mistakes from Montreal here to start, and hanging of the head, just really disappointed look. They really have to shake that off sooner rather than later, and what it's going to take is a play to be made, and they're in a scramble situation here on this third point.
Middle attack, but that will certainly help as one of their leaders, Kaiser Tourigny, and we're gonna need more of that, right? It's all good. You need more. The body language has got to change, but ultimately it comes down to making plays. So that will help. You get a big stuff block. She now goes back to serve. She has this tough float serve here that gives McMaster a little bit of trouble, and they got to start putting some points together, stacking brick on brick here, and get back into this match. And that's what truly everybody wants, right? Everyone just wants to see great volleyball here. Majority of the fans in the building here today so far are a lot of students, not as many fans from these two teams, as obviously they both are not local, and they've been treated to a competitive match, but it's McMaster who has been out on the forefront a little bit here, up 2-1, and Sundara makes a nice play at the net with the kill, but something tells me that we still have a long ways to go in this one, Adam. Pretty early sub here for Montreal. We're going to see Emily Bork will check in. We've seen her come in to serve in the first set and then to pass for Cloutier, but never has come in here for Bork. We wonder if, for Lapointe. We wonder if something has, maybe she's not feeling well or something, or just wants to change the vibe immediately to start this fourth set.
Yeah, that's not the response there though, as McMaster picks up another block at the net there. Montreal not able to come back with any sort of 3-contact response, and a quick 3-point lead and a little bit of a buffer built by the Marauders.
On the run, they go back row. Nice dig there by the middle, and then a good job by Montreal waiting at the net. And it's Julia Latonier.
Good discipline by Lafreniere at the net there. Could she have attacked that ball? Certainly. No block really in her way, but a collective 5 defenders really crashing, expecting that. Instead, uses her vision to just go away from those defenders and flush that ball down.
Once again, we see how McMaster never afraid to just take something off of it, keep the ball in play, whether it be a roll shot, it be a tip. They're really trying to be smart and making this Montreal defense work, and it pays off for them later in the rally as they get the stuff blocked. 3-point lead restored, 5-2.
That was our comment after the first set, Jared, was they really needed to extend more rallies and just sort of settle down a little bit, and they certainly have made that adjustment in the latter portion of this match. And there's a big transition kill from Sully Sundara. She was flying into that ball, Jared. The attack angle that she hit this ball, just completely drifting through that attack.
Yeah, and that ball was set a little bit tight and inside, and she just decided, you know what, I'm just going to take an absolute cut on that one, and it's exactly what she did, off the block and out of bounds. That serve goes a little bit long. So point to Montreal, but they don't need side outs. I mean, they do need side outs, but they need points on their serve as well, right? You can't side out to the victory when you're down 3 points. There's still a long ways to go here, but, you know, they're going to need to try to get a couple back, get some momentum onto their side, as this will help. The ball's passed off the net. Sundara with that, again, just showing that great arm. She really has like a textbook arm swing. We got to film that one and show it to some of our younger athletes. Again, you don't have to be the biggest player on the floor. If you have an arm, you can do a lot of good things with it, and that's that one just a little bit long. This serve looks like it was going long, but drops in at the end. Kept alive by the libero Bork. Sundara takes something off it, takes the setter McLaughlin out of the play. Milan bump set, and that ball goes just wide. And it's, you know, I don't think Djordjevic has played poorly, but in the first set she was on fire and just hasn't been able to kind of establish that same type of attack she had early on in this match.
Yeah, through the first set, Jared, she had 5 kills. Right now, her live total is just 10, so she's really, that pace has slowed down, and someone whose pace has not slowed down is Sundara. She continues to just rip this ball from the service line. She picks up another ace on that serve. That is now 3 for her in the match and counting. I'm sure, 4 as we get that live update. And that ball did not miss by much, Jared. I don't know about that one, but Montreal collectively, we see them kind of shake that off, not make too much eye contact.
I think Mac wants the challenge. Not available for this championship, but I think they would love to get a closer look at that one. But that ball does go long. So 8-5 now is the score. Montreal still trailing. Ball passed off the net. Outside to Julian, and once again, just tips it over. Smart play, doesn't want to make a mistake. Outside to Djordjevic. She does right back, but Sundara is there to keep it alive. Back to Julian, and Julian this time goes for the aggressive swing, had the one-on-one, but a nice play at the net there by Djordjevic, and it's now 8-6.
Phenomenal left hand there, Jared, just diving into that lane, taking it away from Julian. Fantastic play, and something that, you know, the offense hasn't been sharp for Montreal, but the defense has. If they can earn a few more points from the block side, it's going to make life a little easier for them, and a comeback maybe more practical.
Sundara's dig goes back towards the net, but I thought there might have been some contact on the net there, but nothing is called. And, you know, this is a good opportunity for us to say, I feel like this match has been very well officiated. There really hasn't been any controversy. The crowd is not going to be too biased on it, but no groans, nothing, you know, big reactions from the benches. You know, not only is this a great opportunity for the athletes, but these are some of the best officials we have in the country as well. Andrew Robb, I mean, I've seen Andrew now, multiple national championships over the years, and typically somebody, for those more familiar on the club side of things, he's wearing the important vest, you know, usually the green vest or the red vest or whatever color, to make sure he knows that he's usually one of the supervisors in charge, and at these higher levels, he's one of the referees who is more experienced.
No stranger to the beach volleyball side of things either as a referee, Jared. He's typically holding down the fort at Ashbridges Bay in Toronto for all the youth nationals there as well, so kind of that dual threat as a referee. You don't usually hear that kind of praise, but we'll give it to him. Dual threat.
You were a dual threat yourself, Adam, indoor and on the beach. You know a thing or two about dual threat. 10-8 now is the score. Advantage for McMaster. So Montreal kind of weathering a little bit of that early storm, but that one there just miss-hit into the net.
There's been a lot of head shaking from head coach Olivier Trudel on the Montreal side here, and you can sense it. We can all sense it, and especially him knows this team better than anyone. That rhythm just hasn't found its way to the Montreal side yet. They just cannot seem to piece things together, get any sort of runs going, but that's a great block there from the captain, Cloutier, just sort of drifting along with that ball and flushing it back onto the McMaster side of the floor. Defense has been where Montreal has earned a majority of their points.
Yeah, that ball, I think, set a little bit quick to the pin for McKinnon, and a great job by Cloutier just to kind of wait and shut the door on that block, puts a tough serve into play. Let's see if they can get 2 in a row here. Julien off the top of the block, and I think that's one, Adam, I think for you as a former outside hitter, you're like, no, that's not a hitting error. Give that to somebody else. I did my job, I recycled. The cover's got to be there to keep that one alive.
It's pretty built-in philosophy no matter what team you're playing for. You don't reach back, right? There's supposed to be someone behind you helping you out, and there certainly was, but that hesitation is what killed McMaster.
Great dig by Milan down the line. Then it's Cloutier out of the back row, but kept alive by McKinnon. They go back to her on the left, and this time Cloutier can't come up with the dig. And, you know, Adam, we're obvious, this is not a criticism, it's just an observation, but we talked about between sets where, you know, Montreal, in the beginning parts of this match, they really established a lot of offense from the back row to their advantage. But now, are you thinking that maybe they want to get some of these front row attackers a bit more involved?
The variety of where they're running the back row offense, Jared, is maybe too much. They are constantly moving that pipe. Is that pipe in front of the setter, behind the setter, shifted into sort of that B gap? Are they running that C ball? Who's hitting the C ball? We've seen Cloutier in there. Like, there's just so much variety that I think it's to their demise at this point. I think they maybe could be benefited with a bit of simplicity to their offense.
Yeah, sometimes when things aren't going your way, you know, oh, a great play there by both sides. What an awesome dig on the Montreal side. Play continues, tipped over, kept alive. Outside to Bork, and that ball goes off the block and then into the net out of bounds. So point McMaster, but you know, sometimes when things aren't working, you want to just make it as simple as you possibly can, right? And then we can kind of build back up again. And you know, your first day of practice, you don't install, you know, all your most complicated things. You want to kind of start with the basics. And you know, again, not it's just an observation, and we're seeing these teams, you know, really kind of almost for the first time all year, but it worked so well. I think that's sometimes what happens too, right, is it worked so well in the first set, then it's hard to get away from it when it's not working. But they're still right in this game. It's a 1-point game, 13-12, and they continue to battle their way through this, and we said we expected a 5-setter. Well, we're in the 4th set here. It's just a 1-point game. Mac does not want any part of that. They want to finish this thing off here, right now, but Montreal is doing their best to try and extend this to the 5th and deciding. This rally is a good one, going back and forth. McKinnon kept alive. Bump set outside to Sundera, and Sundera, big block there. The Montreal wall built 13-13.
You know, I'm trying to find the live stats here for Montreal's blocking. They've got 11 total blocks. I would say maybe 4, possibly 5 of those alone have come in this 4th set, Jared. They have been so effective picking up points at the net. Unfortunately, they follow that up with a missed serve, and I think that is the momentum that's just not able to be built for Montreal. The ball's going to go back into Emma McKinnon's hands here on the McMaster Marauders side.
And you see Coach Jansen going to the bullpen, if we're going to continue with that analogy of getting that closer ready to go. You know, number 20, Lutz, who's come off the bench in all 3 sets. And, you know, here we were thinking in the first set, oh, they're losing, right? They're going to go to Lutz, change things up a bit. But then we saw it in the 2nd and 3rd and almost run the offense through her. And now we're just waiting for that substitution. That's probably coming again here from McMaster. But will it be, you know, with them leading or with them trailing? We'll see how these next few points go. But right now it's Montreal who continues to be a force up at the net. And they now have a 1-point advantage, 15-14.
Djordjevic has been solid out there. She's really establishing that block in the perfect spot right now, Jared. She's watching the ball and staying in front of it. That's exactly what you need, especially with her size and the matchup she has size-wise against Sundera. And McMaster, they're going to follow that up with a net violation on their block. And just like that, the lead has flip-flopped over to the Carabins side. They now lead by 2, and Coach Nathan Jansen, he's going to want to take his first time out of this 4th set to slow things down.
So this is, we're not going to classify this statement as expert analysis, but let's just call it what it is. Isn't volleyball a funny game?
Absolutely it is, but entertain us here, Jared. Why so?
It just, you know, we watched the first set, the teams are very even, and then Montreal kind of just out of nowhere takes over. So, okay, they've won the first set. Second set, they go down 13-3, right? That doesn't make sense. How could you win a set and then all of a sudden completely just kind of lose all momentum? Then the third set, you know, close, McMaster pulls away. Fourth set looks like Mac's really feeling themselves. Things are going good. Montreal make a very early substitution. And now all of a sudden here we are 2/3 the way through this set and it's 16-14. And I guess the nature of the sport, because there's a point scored on every single play, leads to these types of ebbs and flows. But I know basketball very much has back and forth things that happen, big runs. But I guess because it's all one game, you don't have the opportunity to take like the third quarter off and still come back. But in volleyball, you can play your worst volleyball of the year for 2 sets and win the match.
That's certainly true, Jared. I mean, obviously not going to see it at this level, but 25-7, you know, 25-6, you could lose and then win the match.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre, but that's why you play the game.
That's right.
We're out here to see who's got the best 3 of 5 sets, and right now the momentum's on the Carabins side coming out of the timeout.
And this is a big point here out of the timeout. Let's see if Mac can get this back to 1, or is Montreal able to stretch it to 3. Sundara down the line, takes the center McLaughlin out of the play, but Milan steps in, bumps it behind her head to Cloutier. Nice dig there by Julian. Back outside quickly to Sundara, tips it over. Cloutier's there with the save. They go force to the middle, and this time it's not often used, but number 12, Julia Latanier, who gets the kill, and it's now 17-14.
Lantier has been solid in this 4th set, Jared. Again, someone we did comment on that volume was lacking offensively, but she has quietly here, especially in this 4th set, picked up a number of kills. That's an important one as this run continues, and the error off of Sundara is going to continue to compound this lead for Montreal. And Coach Nathan Jansen, no response out of his last timeout. It has continued to be a Montreal run after his timeout just moments ago, and here he is taking number 2, his final opportunity to intervene in this set. Something's got to change.
So I've asked this question of coaches before, as we have kind of an opportunity here to explore this topic, but you know, we've kind of moved in sort of the higher levels of volleyball, where if you lose in a 5th set, you still get a point. You know, there's kind of this system of you win 3 straight, you know, you get full points for values. There's different ways to do it, but you know, to me, is it fair to say at times that we think, oh, it's a 5th set match, it was an amazing game, you know, it was so close, where in reality, 25-23, 27-25, 26-24, 3 straight, you know, 3-0 victory is actually a lot closer than, you know, if the 5th set, like let's just say you lose 25-12, then you win 25-23, then you lose 25-11, you win 25-23, and then the 5th set you lose 15-4. How close were you really? Are you really close to winning the match? You know, when you get blown out and then the other team kind of takes 2 sets off, and then the 5th set you're not really close. I mean, it's apples and oranges, I guess. It's, you know, 6 of one, half dozen the other. There's many ways you can kind of describe it, but like to me, if it's 23-23, you're just points away from winning that set each time. As now it's another point here for Montreal, and it's Bork. And you know, again, we talk about coaches know their teams way better than we do, as we're just sitting here doing the webcast. Coach Trudel made a very early substitution. He went to Bork, and then Bork now has been back on the service line, ripping off a couple serves in a row here, and they're now up 19-14. And we're going to see Sundara will actually now take a seat, and checking in for the Marauders for the first time today. Adam, did you catch a number here? Number 23, Lucy Shaver, the first year, has come off the bench, and I think this is a maintenance situation as much as anything for McMaster, right, where this set is probably over, and Sundara is obviously going to need to play a role in the 5th set. And now we're going to have the full wholesale here. We're going to get everybody off. McKinnon's going to take a seat. We're going to do a double substitution actually here. So we talked about, you know, a few points ago, Coach Jansen looking down to his bench saying, hey, you know, 20, Madeline Lutz, you've been coming in for us and closing these sets out. Now it's a completely different situation where they're down 6 points, and now this is just to really kind of give his team a rest. And we should make mention as well, we have a new setter coming into play here. I believe this is Peyton Ontwistle who's coming in. her number hidden by her ponytail there, but we did catch it, number 11. But, you know, for these players who, like, there's people in the crowd or people watching at home think, like, wow, it's not really that big of a deal. It's coming in for a couple points. Like, to get to play in a national championship, whatever the situation, it still matters a lot, right? Like,
absolutely.
For Antwiston to come in here, it still means a lot, especially for Shaver, only in her first year. Even just getting, like, 6 points makes a big difference in their experience,
and
right?
The McMaster Marauders, I mean, obviously went to U Sports Nationals last year as the host.
Yep.
But this is arguably a perennial nationals program. So it's kind of poignant and important for Coach Nathan Jansen to ensure that the pipeline of athletes like Sundara, she's not going to be around forever. Olivia Julien, she's going to graduate at some point. These players need to get a taste of this action, this environment, and this sort of pressure situation. And I think it's key and integral, as you said, maybe not, we'll call it all that meaningful, despite McMaster has now cut this lead to 3 with all the substitutions they've done. It still is going to resonate for these young athletes in the long term.
So Shaver came in. She didn't pass when she came in on the left. They pulled her out of serve receive. We're going to see timeout now from Coach Trudel. But she's put in 2 rockets of serve. She got a service ace, then a 1 pass from Cloutier. And now all of a sudden, you forced Montreal once again to call timeout, and it's 20-17. 20-17 is doable, right? 2017 is not inconceivable for that to happen. So it's almost like you take a situation where maybe in other sports, you know, we call it, I don't love the term garbage time, but you know, it's sort of like the backups are in and it's like, oh, they're moving the ball now. Well, yeah, but nobody's left on defense, right? Well, that's not the case here. Montreal still has their best players out there, and McMaster has gone to a different look, and they're seeing a serve for the first time they haven't seen. It's now the 4th set. They're pretty used to what's coming at them. Now all of a sudden, this girl's different. She's serving from a different spot on the floor. She's serving with a different pace. We're not quite used to this one here. You get 1 or 2 more, and all of a sudden now, maybe Sundara comes back in even maybe potentially, right? Like, so many things can change so quickly within a set of volleyball. And again, like I said, it's kind of a funny sport. For examples just like this right here. So here we are out of the timeout. Shaver again takes a little bit off that one, but still gives Cloutier a little bit of trouble. They go to the back row to Bork, and that ball is rolled out of bounds. And it'd be curious, Bork has done a good job in this set, but do we see Lapointe possibly come back in here at the end of this 5th set to finish things off for Montreal?
239 kills in the conference season, sitting on the bench right now, probably chomping at the bit to get back out there for an opportunity.
Shaver gets a piece, but not quite enough. She was in the right spot, and you know, Adam, every once in a while they say a broken clock is right twice a day. Well, the clock was broken for me on that one as we see Shaver do a great job for her team. I'm thinking when Jansen puts her in, he's probably thinking Sundara is done for the set. But now all of a sudden, 21-18, you know, it makes things a little bit different. We're going to bring her back out on the floor. Maybe we can steal a couple here and try to win this thing in a 4th. Julien will swing again. Roll shot, dug up by Bork. McLaughlin on the run, goes outside to Cloutier. Sundara comes back in. Bump set from Bork, back to Julien, and Julien looks for the hands, but doesn't find them. The MAC bench wanted a touch, but I didn't see one. How about you?
No, definitely no touch there. The right kind of swing, you want to stay aggressive in the late moments of this set, especially when you're trying to earn your way back, but she didn't miss by much, but certainly no touch, and a lot of that credit has to go to Georgievich, just really big player at the net. Tough to get around, but that shot right there from Sundara is about as good as it gets, Jared. As I can see the look on your face, you know that that's an accurate attack out of the back row.
A great shot by Sundara out of the back row. That's now 6 subs for McMaster, which is not a huge issue, but if they rotate around, Wu would have to play front row middle, so they're not in a huge pickle yet, but she'll get liberoed off. And they actually, sorry, that was, he was giving her, that was 5. So now this will be 6. That situation is obviously avoided. Right, we're also going to see a substitution on the Montreal side. Checking in will be Charlotte Bilodeau. We saw her earlier in this match as well. The Montreal fans not happy about the score. Yeah, nothing changes. You know that we see that in the grade 6, you know, 13U tournaments, grade 6 and 7 when the score is wrong. We still see it here, but they've got it all sorted. Everything's all good. 23-19. Pipe to Sundara, and again, she finds that exact same shot.
That's an aggressive angle. Jared, I've seen a lot of youth sports women's volleyball this season, mostly in the Canada West Conference, but a lot of athletes have sort of filtered through my eyes. Sundara's maybe one of the more fluid athletes I've seen, and what I mean by that is the timing and just the nature of her jump and arm swing in tandem is just, it's very aesthetically pleasing to the eye, and the fact that she can also put that pace on it, it's just wonderful volleyball.
McKinnon off the top of the block, kept alive by McLaughlin. Milan bumps it outside to kept alive. And Julien dug up there by Bilodeau, who just checked in. Cloutier once again will get the swing. Good defense here from both sides. Another roll shot there, and actually an interesting wrinkle here, Adam. I don't know if you noticed as the play was going on, Sundara is now actually setting for McMaster.
Just so much versatility here, and they're really keeping us on our toes, Jared. We had to be aware. I did catch that. I'm glad you brought it up, and you know, our heads are maybe spinning a bit here. Thank you to Coach Olivier Trudel to take his second and final timeout of this fourth set. This is a crucial time in this set and this match, Jared. As you've already said, we all know Marauders, they do lead 2-1, but this lead for Montreal has fizzled. What are you saying as a coach in this timeout if you are Coach Olivier Trudel for the Montreal Carabins?
So something I love to use with our younger athletes as a coach is we have a timeout. Clearly we had a bigger lead before this, but we look up at the scoreboard, we say, okay, doesn't matter how we got here. We're up 23-21. Before this set, if the scorekeeping judge came over to us, the genie, and said, we don't have to play the set, you're up 23-21, would you take it? Based on how the last two sets went, the answer would absolutely be yes. We're up 2 points, receiving a side out for a set point, and doesn't matter how we got here, right? We are just 2 side outs away from winning this set and forcing to a fifth. Who cares about what's happened before this, right? Just keep ourselves in the actual moment of this point. We don't have to score any more points. We just have to side out twice. We'll be fine. A pass like that from Milan will help. McLaughlin goes middle, tipped over. There you go. Nice and easy, 24-21. And now we're in a situation where we have a set point opportunity to get this thing to a fifth set.
McMaster's going to bring their setter back onto the floor here. Chase Victoria checks back on, so no more Sundara setter. We're going to get back to some conventional volleyball for McMaster. Their backs are against the wall. A few set point opportunities now for Montreal.
Victoria goes to the right to Julien. Sundara is just going to put a free ball over. Tries to make the free ball a little bit difficult, but it's back-to-back kills by Kaiser Touregnet. And just like expected before this match started, we are going to get a fifth and deciding set. Montreal takes it 25-21, and we are now tied up at 2 sets apiece to force a race to 15 to take the match. You're watching the U Sports National Championship on CBC.
This is more than just a game. This is about who rules the court. The U Sports Basketball Championships, March 13th to 16th on CBC Gem.
Hey U Sports fans, check out shop.usports.ca for this week's promotional item from the Nike Team Collection. Visitez le shop.usport.ca pour en profiter de la promotion de la semaine de la collection Nike Team.
Le sport en direct sur icitout.tv. 100% énergie. 100% gratuit. Votre meilleur plan de match pour voir des performances exceptionnelles sur l'appareil de votre choix. C'est icitout.tv.
CBC Sports is the home of university sports in Canada. Catch the gold medal of the 2025 U Sports Women's Volleyball Championship Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern right here on CBC Sports. All of the action for U Sports Women's Volleyball Gold is exclusively on CBC Gem, cbcsports.ca, and the CBC Sports app. U Sports on CBC, chase the glory. And that is what these two teams are trying to do right now, Jared. The glory is that main bracket semifinal game. They are looking to play for a medal, stay on the medal side of this, and it's going to be a race to 15 for these teams to try and put themselves in that position.
You know, years ago, I was so confident in a result of a volleyball match that I said that I am so confident this team will win that if they don't win, I will never predict the result of another volleyball match ever again. I was wrong. A year later, I said, I know I lost the ability a year ago, but I'm so confident I will once again. I was wrong again. So I am not capable of telling you who I think is going to win this match. And even if I did have the ability, Adam, I wouldn't know, because this game has really been such a seesaw, back and forth from set to set, but also within sets. And I think we've now obviously got to the point, this 4-5 matchup in a fifth set, as that ball from Sandera goes off the block and out of bounds. So first point to McMaster. But where I'm going with this is the way this match has went, I think we can agree, the loser of this game will be incredibly disappointed if they don't come out on top.
Yeah, both sides have had so many looks, so many opportunities, and here we are. The opportunity presenting itself is that race to 15, and it's been a good start from both sides. Defense has been phenomenal. Some extended rallies already here. Just the second point on the board. Great pickup there from Milan in the back row.
That pipe attack goes tipped into the net, so 2-0 McMaster. But I think what we truly want, you know, obviously for everybody watching live or on the webcast, is that we just hope both teams really, truly, and it sounds funny, but we want them to play their best. We want this to be a 15-13. Both teams executing at the highest level, and whoever comes through this, they're going to be a handful for whoever they play next tomorrow, because we've seen these flashes of brilliance from both teams. We're hoping for the highest level of volleyball here into this fifth set. Scramble rally here, going back and forth. Dug up there by Julian. Just kept alive. Sandera is going to try to put it over. Almost gets the kill. And then it's off the top of the block. Once again saved. Outside to Sandera. That ball goes all the way over. We're going to see the setter who's shown the ability to score at the net. But McKinnon kind of caught out of position, and it's going to be point Montreal.
Huge rally there. Again, from both sides. We can see that teams are really putting an emphasis on playing clean right now, Jared, right? Nobody wants to make that mistake in an extended rally and give a point away. We're going to see a lot more tips and rolls. I really think this one's going to come down to who can stay dialed in defensively and who can score like that when given the opportunity to take your shot, make your swing, and make it count. And Sully Sandera, on her 50th attempt of the night already, picks up a very timely kill, her 15th kill.
And I would almost, in this situation here, I would want to see more plays like that. Let's fifth set, let's be more aggressive, right? Let's go for it. And that's what she did in her serve there. She served well all game. At this point here, we should there's no holding back. We get a chance to swing, let's go for it. And I love that Sandera went for that ball down the line there, and I love that she went for it on her serve as well. But we're 3-2. And you can feel people are starting to file in here a little bit for the next game, as obviously we are 3 minutes away from the scheduled start time. That's going to be pushed behind. So if you're watching, you're thinking you're getting Alberta Memorial, that's coming up soon. Don't worry, we got you that one right away. But this has been a long match. It's been back and forth, and we're now tied up at 3-3. But there's just more and more excitement building here into this fifth set, and I truly have no idea where this is going to go.
In my opinion, I think the ball on Montreal's side of the floor has to go to Georgievich. She has to get the ball. She has been so efficient in the front row, especially. She's leading her team in kills with now 13 on just 35 attempts. I think they got to run the offense through her.
Yeah, and we talk about how Lapointe played such a huge role in the offense of this team. Hasn't been as effective as that set from Victoria goes into the aerial, so now lead Montreal. But she sat almost the entirety of that fourth set. You wonder how is she feeling coming back now onto the court after that. She's in position 2 right now. You know, how much offense will she be given in this fifth and deciding set? But you feel like McMaster needs a side out here. I wouldn't be shocked to see a timeout coming. It handcuffs the middle there, and the ball by Delamar kept alive. And that one maybe a little bit out of position by McKinnon, and we're going to see a 5-3 advantage. This is now a 4-point run for Montreal, and Coach Jansen is looking to his bench. He's talking here saying, hey, we ready to go, but is not going to call the timeout yet as McLaughlin continues to serve. 5-3 advantage, Montreal. We have a situation here, though. Not quite sure what is happening. The officials, interestingly enough, they have headsets that they can communicate with each other and the score table. There seems to be a bit of a situation here.
This is a bit disruptive as an athlete, Jared. I mean, you're in a bit of a flow, especially if you're on the Montreal side of the court. You're just starting to piece together the first real significant run in this fifth set, and you're trying to build on that. And for things to get shut down, kind of throws things off. But yesterday, we had the chance to speak with some of the Carabin athletes, and they really leaned on their mindset and how important that was to fuel them to the success they have had in this season so far, and where they want to continue to go. They're really trying to learn on that, and they bring confidence in that mindset. They've been to this song and dance before, last year most recently, and they do believe that there's a reason that they're here, and that confidence is what they bring to this table. And just going to make sure on that serve, we're back up and running. Ball goes out to Julienne. She buries that ball.
So we saw McLaughlin. She's putting in tough serve, right? Tough serve, tough serve, tough serve. She gets kind of frozen out there. It's like calling a timeout to a kicker. She goes back there. She's standing back at the end line. She really kind of took a lot of pace off that one. Not understandable, right? But that delay, a little thing, we're not quite sure what caused the delay, but maybe threw the momentum off a little bit. We have a substitution for Mac there. The serving sub, Wu, has come into play. Montreal handles it. They get the side out, back up now 6-4. And Delamar will check back in to be liberoed out by Brooks. And now it will be Lapointe who will go back to serve. She hasn't served in 45 minutes, Adam.
That's right, yeah. She has definitely not, and I don't think any volume. It's been Georgievich all the way through the front row so far, earning kills. So she makes that serve. We're up and running here in this rally. It's Julienne again for McMaster, coming up on her first opportunity. Off the block and out.
Yeah, back-to-back kills on the side out there for Julienne. Her and Sundar, a nice left side combo, right? I think this whole game they've been solid. As Victoria now goes back to serve, passed up there by Lapointe. Ball's tipped deep. Sundar is there, keeps it alive, bumps it outside. Julienne once again and tries to go off those top of the hands. Goes back, covered on her side. Once again, down the line, takes McLaughlin out of the play. Milan goes all the way back to Lapointe. And that catches the block and a little bit of the defender, but not enough. Side out, Montreal.
Huge kill there for Montreal to earn that one, break that serve of Victoria from the Marauders side. They're just one away from kind of that race within the set to 15 is that integral 8-point switch mark.
Great job there by Sundar just to keep that ball alive. Swing on the right, covers her own attack. Coutier dug alive by Sundara, but not a great set by Victoria, and that's going to be, could be 2 hits, could be carry ball, could be out of bounds, but either way it results in a point for Montreal. We now have an 8-5 advantage for the Carabin as the teams will switch sides.
We're seeing a little bit more poise on this Carabin side, Jared. I don't know if you feel that way, but that certainly seems to be how I'm interpreting what's going on so far in this fifth set. Just a little bit more poise, not making those mistakes that we've seen McMaster have. A couple ball handling errors now for McMaster in this fifth set. They're going to have to try and settle down and cut those plays out of the mix here as they've now got a bit of a hole that they've dug themselves into after this switch.
And I think we're going to see, yeah, and we will see a timeout. Coach Jansen wants to talk things over with his team here. So as an athlete, Adam, and I know this is a difficult question to answer, and I think I know where you're going to go with this, but would you rather lose 15-13 in the fifth set, or would you rather lose 3 straight?
Oh boy, that is a tough question. I mean, obviously the anticipation that you have and the belief, the hope that's built up when you do eventually lose in 5, it's shattering, and especially on a stage like this where you want to progress, you want to stay on that winner's side of the bracket, have those meaningful medal opportunities. That's tough. You definitely don't want to come in, and I would say it's easier to lose in 3 from a mental standpoint because you never really felt like you had a chance.
Right.
You were never in it. You never really had, even if it's 26-24, sure, we maybe had a chance to clinch a set, but we never felt the opportunity in front of us. In 5 sets, especially in the McMaster Marauders booth that they're in right now, they were leading 2-1.
Right.
And now things are not looking as bright and sunny-eyed for them in this very moment. But you've said it multiple times, the seesaw has been a reality for this match, and perhaps it's time for it to flip, or perhaps the Carabins are just going to sit down on their side for one last ride into this win.
We'll get back to that in a second here as we got back to the action out of the timeout. McKinnon looks for the hands. Oh, and Letanier with the dig. We talk about those middle digs, how big they can be. Another dig out of 5. This time it's by Brooks. High ball outside to McKinnon. And we're going to have a net violation against Montreal. So for me, I think as a coach, in the moment, when you kind of explain to your athletes, I think losing like that heartbreaking, 5th set in the moment is probably more disappointing. I think when you can look back at it later, you realize, man, we were pretty close. Especially if you played a good match. Like you said, the 3 straight, it's like, wow, we weren't even in it. But I think you'll actually probably get more angry about that one later. Like, wow, we didn't even show up, right? So I don't think either way it feels good, but I think where we're at right now, I think we can agree both of these teams, it's such a close match, and they're really doing everything they can to leave it out there. But it does seem like Montreal, who continues to kind of build here a little bit, and it's been Kaiser Tourigny, who one of their leaders, who we met with yesterday with the coaches and athletes, and she talked about how they really they want to have fun, right? They said they're really stressing it. We love this. It's hard, but we want to have fun, and she's been a good presence that way all through this whole match, but unable to come up with a block on that one as we see a nice kill there by Angelica Vidmar. And instead of letting her go back to serve, we're going to see a substitution here. Checking in will be number 17, Kaylee Young. I believe this is the first time we have seen Young this whole match. What a spot for her here, the second year. Again, one of these liberos who comes in to serve. So Coach Jansen, nice to have that at his disposal. She comes in and puts the tough float serve onto Cloutier. They go back to her on the left, tips it over. Nice diving save, but it's a back row setter who can't get the block, but kept alive by McKinnon. Outside to Sundera, looking for a touch. I didn't see one there. I thought that was right out of bounds. Adam, you agree?
Yeah, just up and over there as Sundera, maybe expecting a bit more of that block presence as she kind of climbed up. And, this is crunch time, right? The adrenaline kind of amps up whether you feel it internally or not. And perhaps she just got ahead of herself there with that swing, maybe jumping a bit higher, reaching a bit higher, whether it's intentional or not in this crunch time moment.
Oh, that's not a great reception there from Julian, but she's got a chance to make up for it, but a great dig by Cloutier. They go back row, and that finds the end line. The McMaster defense split between the two of them. Georgievic gets the kill, and we're going to have McMaster call their second and final timeout. They trail 11-7 here in this 5th and deciding set.
You can see the experience shining through here for Montreal. Again, lost in the quarterfinals at last year's national championships. They're back, and they say that it's a completely different game from their conference playoffs. Conference, you win 2 out of 3 games, but this is the golden game right now, right? It's one at a time in this bracket format. It's do or die right now for McMaster in contrast. Trailing by 4. This is a tricky situation for them to be in. But we've seen them go on runs of their own. It's certainly not impossible for McMaster. They just need to stay clean. That's something that they've struggled with through the entirety of this match, but it has really plagued them in this 5th set with untimely, unforced errors.
And I think when, 11-7, it's obviously there's a gap. We're running out of time if you're McMaster. but it doesn't seem impossible, 11-7. But you look at it and you say, okay, what does that mean? Well, it means we have to outscore them 8-2 if we're going to win 15-13, right, at best. But we've seen that. We've seen 8-2 runs to McMaster. We've seen that from both teams, actually, today. So it's been done today. It's just a matter of can you do it right now when everything is sort of on the line here. But it's going to start with a side out if they can get one right now. Sandera, nice pass. They go middle, and that's a diving save. And then just set a little bit too high for Kaiser Touraigné, and it's going to be a side out max. So that's the first step. Now, can we go 2 for 1, right? Can we get a couple points here each time that we serve, and can we play clean on our side on the reception all the way through here? Nice pass there by Lapointe. They go step round to Kaiser Touraigné. Dug alive, back outside, and that is most definitely off the block and in. So that's the shot she wanted her last swing where she just missed it. And now all of a sudden, 11-9 looks a whole lot better than 11-7. And we're going to have a timeout by Coach Trudel, so he agrees. He does not like this situation either.
That looked a lot more like the McMaster volleyball we saw in the sets that they've won, right? Sets 2 and 3 was controlled transition, really just allowing the outsides to challenge the block high with just a simple set, nothing crazy. Saw that for maybe arguably the first time really in this 5th set for the Marauders side. Now Montreal on the flip side, they want to shut this down right away. Keep that sizable lead, make it multiple possessions and multiple services from McMaster that they'd have to hold to try and keep in this position. I think they need to try and find Georgievich in the back row right now is where she is. I think they need to try and get that ball to her and allow her to be the physical option. She's really the one who has swung more than anyone on the Montreal side, earning more points, and she's got the next nearest kill leader on her team doubled. She's got 16. The next closest is a pair of 7 kill athletes. They got to try and find her in this moment, especially on this first side out ball, Jared.
Lutz, who has been giving them trouble from the end line, but that one goes just long, so a great timeout. We call those coaches' points. We keep track of those somewhere in our head, somewhere on the side. So good job there, good timeout. But if you're Mac, you're still okay here. You got 1, which is what you needed. And if we kind of play this out a little bit, right? We're tied at 15 if we play this out, okay? 2-1. You can still do this, and then obviously it's got to go to extra points. So you can't get 3-4 at a time. They got the 1 they needed, but they absolutely need a side out here. You can't go back and give 1 point right back to them. So let's see what they're able of doing. It's Bilodeau who's coming to serve. Once again off the bench. They go middle, and she gets the dig. Great job. It's going to go back row to Georgievich. Julian overpowered, but great dig. And Sandera again finds the hand, so she is working that shot. Great look there. And they're right still where they want to be. 2-point game. Can they get a hold? And look who goes back to serve, Adam. Their most dangerous weapon from the service line, Sully Sandera. Puts in a solid serve. Milan, nice pass. They go middle attack. A great dig there by the libero Brooks. Sandera, high ball outside to Julian. Julian finds the top of the hands, and it's just a 1-point ball game now. 12-11, Montreal leading, but with McMaster clawing their way back.
So much poise from both sides, Jared. Sandera rips on that serve, doesn't take anything off it, but the libero, Milan, handles it beautifully. We get 2 aggressive swings on each side. These athletes are inside of one match, peaking at the right time, saving their best volleyball for this finale.
Sandera, huge heater. Milan gets a piece, but it's going to be a service ace. And we're tied 12-12 in our first quarterfinal here at the 2025 U Sports Women's Volleyball National Championship. We're going to see another substitution here. Didn't mention it before. Guilon came in the middle for Lantinet, and she's going to check right back in. So this is Trudel trying to slow the momentum, but if you're Montreal, this is not the server you wanted to see on the service line. 12-12 here. Another bomb. And it's Julianne at the net with the kill. And look at the excitement on the McMaster side. They've now pulled ahead 13-12.
If you were an outside spectator looking at Sully Sandera right now, you'd think she's playing pickup volleyball in the backyard with her expression here. She knows that this job is far from done. even though she has been such an X factor right now, bringing her Marauders back with this service pressure. But she is cool, she's calm going back to the line. That makes me, if I am a serve receiver, that scares me a little bit, Jared. And I love this timeout from Olivier Trudel. You just have to address it.
You know, we're doing this, we're here this weekend, we're helping with the broadcast, but first and foremost, we are volleyball coaches, Adam, right? You're a volleyball player. All we wanted this whole time, right, was let's have these two teams play their best when it matters most. So here we are now. We said, let's get a 15-13 fifth set. That's exactly what we are on pace for. It looked like Montreal was going to, well, early on, it looked like Mac maybe was going to get in there and get things started. Then Montreal goes back. It's 8-5 at the switch. We talked about it's 11-7. You got to go on an 8-2 run to finish. Well, not only have they done that, they've gone on a 6-1 run here, Adam. They now lead 13-12. Montreal now has got to look at it and say, we need a side out right here. Tie this thing at 13, and then let's see what we can do on our side. This truly is up for grabs for a spot in tomorrow's semifinal. Sundara out of the timeout. Passed up greatly there by Bilodeau. They go outside. Left point off the top of the block. Kept alive by Brooks. Victoria outside. Julienne, she deep tips down the line. Dug up by Milan. Miglashin on the run. Outside Lapointe. And Lapointe, oh, a great dig, but they see if they can get it over, and it's going to be outside the aerial, but great effort by the libero Brooks. Good effort, good effort. We're tied 13-13.
Fantastic pressure from Montreal there. They handled it beautifully. Just a great pass to the net, running that simple offense, get it to the outside, apply the pressure, and just wear them out in transition.
If you remember, this was the rotation to start this fifth set with Miglashin serving. That gave McMaster trouble. See if Mac can get out of on the first one or Montreal can give themselves a match point. We're getting one either way. Who's it going to have it? Oh, a great diving save by the setter, Miglashin. Victoria goes outside to Julian again, and this time down the line. Where did that shot come from, Adam? We haven't seen that all game from her, and we now have a match point opportunity for the McMaster Marauders.
Yeah, Montreal's defense is built to seal the line, as we saw the setter, Sarah Miglashin, up the line. Nobody covering that deep shot. Great vision there from Julienne, and we got match point opportunity at the hands of the McMaster Marauders.
Match point. Delamar puts a serve in play. They go step around, and it's McKinnon gets a piece, but not enough. A familiar look and run for Montreal. They go back to it when they need it the most. One match point battled off. And of course, are we surprised this is going to extra points? Not at all, right? This has been a battle right out of the gates, and what a way for us to kick off our tournament here at the University of Manitoba. If the rest of the tournament's like this, we're in for a beautiful weekend. Tied 14-14. Passed up there nicely by McKinnon. Victoria, tight set, and there's nobody there to cover it, and we now have a match point opportunity for Montreal.
Just like that, and it's Bork. Jared, she has had so many influences on this match in a variety of ways, passing, attacking. Here she's serving and putting pressure on.
Bork back to serve. Passed up there by McKinnon. Middle attack, and it finds the end line. The nerves of steel on these two teams, Adam. We're tied up 15-15.
You know, Vidmar has been the most efficient player on the floor for either team, and that just disciplined shot, not getting greedy, not swinging straight down, just a deep part of the court, keeping this one alive.
Milan handles the Victoria pass. They go step around again, off the block, off the net possibly, but not enough. And we're now going to have a second match point opportunity for Montreal. But what I want to make mention of here, Adam, is we're going to see a substitution checking back in the front row is Kaiser Tourigny. The serve of Victoria has given Montreal a ton of problems today. Great job on them getting through the first one, and away we go. And now back to serve, match point opportunity, Julia Lansinier for a spot in tomorrow's semifinals. Brooks, nice pass, middle attack, diving save, gonna be a high ball opportunity. Cloutier, and that'll do it! Montreal battles back, down 2-1. They fight off a match point, and they take it 17-15 in the fifth and deciding set and book a ticket in tomorrow's semifinal. Adam, what a match by these two teams.
Just a storybook finish there for Montreal. They go to their captain and fifth-year Cloutier, who puts it away cross court. Her number was called so much tonight. Wasn't the most efficient offensively, but she gets that kill to send them to the semifinal. Just a remarkable match from both sides. We have to give credit where credit is due. Phenomenal games from a number of players here.
We're going to stick around here for the Macassa Players of the Game. Looks like we have our delegates heading down into the court here to recognize. And I think we can maybe take a couple guesses at this, Adam. I think for McMaster,
it's a shoe-in.
What's your guess, Adam?
I think it's got to be Sundara. She
I
was
would agree
phenomenal
with you.
from both the attacking side of things and the service line. Just and at clutch moments too. We got to give it to her. Montreal, maybe a bit of a tougher question. What do you think here?
You know, for Montreal, I like Georgievich. I think she had her ups and downs, but really was kind of the key player for their team, I would say. But you know, it's up for grabs. It could be Kaiser Touragne. She kind of came up when things mattered the most near the end as well. But we're going to find out shortly here as we'll have an announcement, in-house announcement.
We're just taking a look at the bracket here as we have our first logo moving to the second portion of this bracket. It's going to be the Carabins. They're waiting for the eventual victor of the Alberta Pandas versus the Memorial Seahawks. That obviously will not be making the 2 o'clock start time here in-house, as we're already 20 minutes behind that. So Montreal will now await their future opponent in the semifinal, and obviously McMaster will be looking for the loser of that other quarterfinal as well.
We're awaiting. The two teams have lined up on the baseline here. As Memorial and Alberta have also kind of come down to the court. The athletic director here for University of Manitoba, Jean Muller, is down on the court to make the presentation.
Your player of the match for the Joueurs match from the Montreal Carabins, number 19,
So we were right on that one. We kind of talked ourselves through it, but Milica Georgievich is the player of the game for Montreal. So it's nice. You know, obviously the team comes first in these types of situations, but nice to be recognized on that individual level as well.
Undoubtedly earned and deserved. She was their offensive powerhouse. 18 kills, 8 errors, 45 attempts at a 22% efficiency. Remarkable play from her.
Oh, and Haley Brooks, libero for McMaster. Okay, not a bad pick at all. I thought she had a great game. We thought Sundara just because she was such a huge part of their offense. But Brooks, 17 digs. That's quite a few. Great job for her. So congratulations to Montreal on the victory, and then obviously to the two individual athletes for their recognition. So make sure, we are obviously taking a small little break here, but join us for our next broadcast featuring the number 1 ranked Alberta Pandas taking on the number 8 Memorial Seahawks. Coming up, which was supposed to be 2 o'clock, we're going to probably be about a half an hour from now. All right. On behalf of Adam DeYonk here and our entire U Sports crew on CBC, this is Jared Brown reminding you the final score of today's match was the Montreal Carabins, 17-15, 3 sets to 2 in the 5th set. They will advance to tomorrow to take on the winner of this second quarterfinal.
Setting the tone for very exciting championships, are they not, Jared?
Absolutely. Thank you for watching this one. We'll be back with you shortly.
U Sports on CBC, presented by les championnats U Sport à Radio-Canada, une présentation du gouvernement du Canada, the Government of Canada, Nike, Fox 40, Veraburn Medical Supplies, Les Bagues Baron Rings, APAR, and by BioSteel.